Hospital port as pride and dignity. Stop the New World Order. Welcome to HPANWO TV and welcome to this, the 46th comments reply video. This is where I, as the title suggests, gets to reply to your comments. Now, a lot of people leave me comments on my videos and I don't have time to reply to you all by text, but I do feel obliged to make some kind of reply, which is why I do these videos instead. And you may be thinking, well, you know, this isn't really a very, very good way of doing it, Ben, is it? Because, you know, your videos, your comments reply video is all these hours. It's very long. In fact, excuse me, my comments reply videos tend to be very long. They're some of the longest videos I've ever made. Although they're getting shorter because I do them more often. But despite that, they can still be like several hours long. And you think, I only want to reply to one comment, Ben. I'm not going to watch a video all these hours long. Just for that. Well, you don't have to, because what I'll do is, when I'm replying to the comment I'm replying to, I will leave a timestamp as a reply, and it'll give you not only the information I'm replying to your video, your comment in the next video, but also exactly when it'll be within the nearest hour. So the longest you're going to have to watch is for 1 hour. Okay. Another reason I do these comments reply videos is I enjoy doing them. As I say, I'm doing them more often now. And you viewers, many of you enjoy them too, and you're doing them all the way through. I must say, on a personal note, it's nice to be back, really, doing videos. I've taken a little break for reasons that I'll explain and for reasons you already know. And it's good to get back into the saddle, I'll tell you, it really is. So, let us begin. Reply to comments 45. The Crafty Nihilist, who's getting a love heart for that, says, I'm trying to think of something to say so I can be the first. You made it, Mark and Liz, you really did. And Neil Peel says, thank you for your comment, it will reply to in, and he puts his listing. And Crafty Nihilist laughs, so thank you very much for that, guy. Reply to comments 45. Ravenhill, Old Sunday, Segalia Merchant, 1968. Has got a new name again. Oh, right. Hi, Ben. I recently named myself after my great-great-grandfather on my mother's side, who was German-Polish, and called Miroslav. That's why I changed my name again. Oh, I see. Right. Okay, Ravenhill, I get that. But who in your family is called Segalia Merchant, or Old Sunday? Right, so we got our first thread, and we have, straight away, in comes Israel Diego Rivera 2, Genius 2, the real genius. And it replied to comments 45. We don't know is the answer to whether aliens are visiting the Earth. The government would not tell us the truth for many reasons. We have free will to a certain extent on Earth, but not in the large scale of the cosmos. Well, I think we do know that the Earth is being interacted with, I think we say, excuse me, I think we can say with some confidence that the Earth is being interacted with by non-human intelligence. Whether you want to call them aliens, or where they come from, what they are, we don't know, but they exist, definitely. If you hear a bit of wind, it's because I've got the fan on. There may be a bit of wind on the mic. It's so hot in this room, it's unavoidable, I'm afraid. In reply to this, to Diego Rivera, David Smith says, we don't know, so we shouldn't believe, and no, we don't have free will on Earth or the larger cosmos, but it may depend on how you're defining free will. Oh, we come back to the free will thing, right? If there's too many comments, I'll have to just copy them I will copy them into the, because I'm doing another video on free will at some point. I'll answer them there. Diego Rivera says, to reply to Dave Smith, it means we should keep an open mind. We must have some aspect of free choice or will. We're not robots. David Smith says, no, we might be robots. No, we might be robots. Why so close-minded about it? Okay, so this is a free will debate again. I'm afraid I can't get into free will debates really in detail in this video because they basically will take up the video and it'll no longer be a reply to comments video. It'll be a free will video, and I'm doing another free will video anyway. So I hope you don't mind if I don't indulge you with that sort of thing. All right, if that's okay. Same video, Steve071. Hi, Steve. A big thumbs up, Ben. You're taking the opportunity to get out and around the country. Well, you can. It won't last. I do wonder now we're out in the prison yard how long we'll have walking around until the warders come in and drag us off back to the cells. Yeah, I'll cover that time when we come for it. Right. Now Hugo Rune, I've Yes, so Hugo Rune and I had an email discussion. I'd like him to be on the HPANWO show on HPANWO Radio, not HPANWO TV, talking about cannabis. And we had a little conversation here about that. But then Crafty Nihilist comes in and says, I hear cannabis is a really great... Excuse me. I've got the yawns tonight, so nothing I can do about it. I hear cannabis is a really great memory aid. Where are we now? Yeah. Hugo Rune says, thanks a lot, mate. But I do take the piss out of myself. I appreciate your humour. That's a joke. Oh, it's a joke because Hugo forgot that I'd emailed him. But to be honest, I don't think my present mental problems are caused by cannabis, and I have never read about cannabis causing this type of medical problem. But please feel free to inform me of any indications. My best wishes to you and yours. Crafty says in reply to Hugo Rune, in all seriousness, it was a joke. I only wish you good health, Hugo. I'm a drug and alcohol worker, and I've seen cannabis users experience issues with memory, which was alleviated when they cut down. As you probably know, most cannabis has been messed around with these days. Excuse me. You're lucky if you don't get some BS skunk shite. Hugo Rune. And your joke was appreciated. I did like the comment, as I do this one. Cutting down's a good idea, but mine is medical for spasm reduction. It doesn't stop it, but it makes it livable. I have spinal injury and I'm paraplegic. As for lucky if, I never buy or get any from other people. I grow my own. And really, my present mental problem is not cannabis related. I really am having a brain problem. I lost my driving license due to severe blackouts, periods of confusion lasting for about a minute. There you go, I'm going mad, but I see no connection with my cannabis use. Thank you very much for your comment, much appreciated. Oh, Hugo, yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, mate. I mean, I know you've got enough problems already with your spinal injury and things like that. So you know, if you're having blackouts as well now, again, I don't think that it's probably not cannabis related. It may be something else. Have they given you scans? Have you had any brain scans and things like that? There's many things that can cause that sort of thing, that sort of situation. And again, it's not cannabis. I don't think it can't that be cannabis related. There's many conditions that can cause that. And as for when it comes to nerve damage, my mother, she had multiple sclerosis and she took cannabis, and the doctor said, nod, nod, wink, wink. I won't deny it if you say this, but I recommend it. But I do hope you're all right, mate. I do hope you sort out your head as well as your back. Yeah, it's like drugs tend to get blamed for everything, don't they? And Crafty says in reply, I'm sorry to hear you're having so many medical issues, Hugo. Excuse me. I'm really glad that cannabis is helping. And don't get me wrong, I completely understand the medicinal properties. And I'm glad you're growing your own. So you obviously know which a lot of recreational cannabis users don't seem to give a toss about, as they are literally playing Russian roulette with the crap they're buying. It's even been cut with spice, a synthetic cannabinoid, which is directly linked to issues with mental health and death. I think it's important to highlight the difference between what you're smoking and what you're not. And what you're smoking and what Joe Public might accidentally end up buying, maybe thinking it'll be medicinal on the street. Much love, Hugo. I've taken cannabis on 2 occasions. This was provided to me by my friend. Someone who I trust, I've known for a long time, at an event where I was surrounded by a lot of people I know very well. The first time I took it, it was delightful. It made me laugh, and I just was in a good mood. And it was. I wrote 2 blog articles describing my experience. The second time I took it, it was very unpleasant. I had a nightmarish hallucinations and things like that. Again, I wrote a blog article about that on HPANWO Voice. And Hugo then I have another conversation about that, and I'm sorry. I'll email you again, Hugo, okay? And we'll sort something out with that. And I hope it's nothing serious. I really do, with your head, with your brain. I do hope it's not. I know. It's like if you've lost your driving license, and obviously it's serious. Dr. Keith says, Ben, have you heard of the 1978 B movie, The Cat from Outer Space? And does that sound familiar? I saw it when I was a kid, Dr. Keith. Does it sound familiar? The Cat from Outer Space. Yeah, I don't know if you're hinting something else there, but I've seen the movie, yeah. I've seen the movie, definitely. Here we have Gary Robertson, reply to comments 45. Right, yeah. This is about the woke Lord of the Rings, yeah. Hey, Ben, mate, in regards to the woke Lord of the Rings and the issue of woke films and TV in general, according to Overlord DVD on YouTube, the BBC have been told by China that they will not be purchasing any more seasons of Doctor Who if the new Doctor is a woman, or if the show continues to be woke in general. Apparently this is going to deal them a huge financial blow. Yeah, Gary, this was going to happen, you know, get woke, go broke. And this is the situation I think they're in now. You see, because the elite have chosen really fascism instead of just communism, they have. If you're an elitist, if you're in the government, you want to build your new world order, and you're one of these hand-rubbing criminals ruling our world, then there's several things you can do. You can go with communism, or you go with fascism. Basically, the reason fascism is better from that position, playing devil's advocate here, because then there's lots of greedy people in the private sector who'll simply do your heavy lifting for you. So you just incentivize them according to their addiction to money, and they'll do what you want. You just manipulate it so that what they do is what you want them to do. The thing about communism, the private sector is completely abolished, and the state just handles everything. Now, the problem we have now, because we have fascism instead of communism, the private sector, which runs the media, or most of the media, not entirely, of course. The BBC is state-owned. There are many other state-owned aspects of the media, but a lot of the companies, such as Disney, are privately owned. There's a lot of what's happening is the shareholders are knocking on the door and saying, "Look, what's happening here? We're losing money. You're losing billions and billions of dollars. What are you doing?" And that seems to be the situation they're in now. And he carries on, Gary Carroll, and it is a huge. And this is the thing about it is, the BBC are in a real situation because they're now on their second series with Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor. They deliberately moved it to an easier slot to manipulate the viewing figures because no bugger was watching it. It was the professional critics have just poured praise all over it. You know, they daren't do anything else. You don't want to be misogynist, do you? If you don't like Doctor Who and you say, right, give it a bad review, you're a misogynist. It's like this Get Out film I saw and Black Panther. I talked about those before, but the actual the Rotten Tomatoes sort of, what they call it, not the critics but the viewing public, hate it. Anyway, I'll let Gary carry on. Star Wars seems to be going through a period of anti-woke rebuilding right now, thanks to the real fan base putting extreme pressure on Lucasfilm. That being said, the new Indiana Jones movie that is currently being filmed in England is apparently going to see Indy hand over the reins to a girl. And there's a new Masters of the Universe series that Netflix have just released, where He-Man and Skeletor are killed off in the first episode, leaving the female characters to take over, who incidentally are drawn in very masculine, muscular way down to the wokeness. Yeah, I heard about the Masters of the Universe one. Personally, I think the TV series when I was a kid was really great. I mean, the Masters of the Universe is actually a pretty good series. It was a TV show, a TV cartoon when I was a kid, and it was very traditional. It was very Robert E. Howard type fantasy. And of course that means it's been targeted for re-education. And as for the Indiana Jones, I don't know. But this often happens. I heard that the original characters will be disposed of as soon as possible and replaced with woke characters. We saw this with Terminator. And the result is just appalling. I mean, I do recommend Dave Cullen Computing Forever because he reviews these things and he explains how bloody terrible they are and what a betrayal they are of the original fan base. They really, really are. So at the end of the new Ghostbusters, of course, was not woke. The Ghostbusters was a brilliant film. Absolutely superb film, the original Ghostbusters from the 80s. It was followed by 2 really bad sequels. The first sequel was the same cast were brought back, but it was a really lousy film. Then, of course, they remade it with female protagonists, and that was appalling. I think Milo Yiannopoulos' review was so much more entertaining than the actual movie. But they're bringing out another one now, which is actually not. It's actually gone back to its roots a little bit, and it doesn't have the wokeness in it. I think the pressure. It's not. I think it is the fans up to a point, but I think it's more likely to be the shareholders, actually, the companies, who are saying, look, people. You know, at the end of the day, you've got to have bums on seats. People need to go into the cinemas, they need to buy tickets, and they need to sit down and see this, or they have to watch it on Netflix. If you don't, then we don't make money. That's how the movie industry makes its money, by people watching. If people don't watch it, they make no money. And then this industry is destroyed. Wokeness or no wokeness, there is no movie industry. And I think this is now this truth is now hitting home, which means I think, of course, it won't affect the BBC. Of course, do have financial pressure, but unfortunately, you know, despite what you said about the BBC and China. This is going to be a financial blow to them, but unfortunately the BBC is always bailed out by the public sector. That BBC is publicly state-owned and can always be bailed out. However, I think I get some satisfaction from that, though, about China, definitely. BZ Garson says underneath, are you gay or do you just hate women? Oh, BZ, what? That is a insulting and anti-intellectual reply to a comment. It really is. It's very anti-intellectual. Are you gay or do you just hate women? This is the kind of thing that Kevin Logan would say. Are you? Firstly, I don't know why you're asking Gary about his private life. It's none of your business what his sexual orientation is. Why is it relevant to what he said? Or do you just hate women? Now, this is a typical left-wing response. If you criticise feminism in any way, you hate women. If you're upset by what's happening in terms of wokeness, in all the great franchises of movie and theatre and TV, then you're a racist, sexist, misogynist, homophobic, fascist. It's an evil and, I think, incredibly dishonest way of framing a debate. And they do it, though. They do it all the time. You just have to pick up The Guardian and you'll see people say it, you know. Anyway, that's BZ, shut up, you're being a fool. Gary Robertson says on the same video, on another comment here, apparently Kathleen Darth Kennedy, who is, much to the disdain of Star Wars fans, the current president of Lucasfilm Limited, is partly responsible for the removal of the thumbs down feature for certain videos released by big brands for big movies, etc. Yeah, I noticed that, Gary. They have comments disabled, and they also have no thumbs. They select no thumbs. Yeah, this came about because the official Star Wars channel was getting down thumbed to oblivion after she fired the actress Gina Carano from The Mandalorian. A whistleblower has stated that in an attempt to hide bad ratio, she put pressure on YouTube to introduce this feature. Oh right, you see, because the thumbs. So I've just noticed actually that they've changed things. I thought you just meant the channel were disabling thumbs, because you can do that. You have the option of disabling likes and dislikes. But I've noticed that they've turned black and white. The thumbs up and thumbs. They used to be red and blue, and now they've just turned black and white. Because I've heard this actually. They're going to get rid of likes and dislikes altogether. Yeah, Gina Carano actually, her only crime was to say that I think she made a turfish comment about trans women or something like that. I don't know what it was, but again, whatever you think of what she said, she to be thrown out of a job, especially if you're an actress and people have liked you just because of an opinion, is disgusting. I mean, it happens too often actually. It happened to Nick Colostrum, as you know, the guy I've done several videos with, and it's happened to many other people as well. They just express an opinion, and that's it, they're out. Reply to comments 45. Marky Boy says, I am Robert De Niro. Cats don't sell you out. He goes, it's Meet the Parents. I love that. Yeah, it's a fantastic film. If you've not seen it, Meet the Parents. The second one, Meet the Fockers, is not bad either. For a sequel, it's good, but the original, of course, is best. Robert De Niro. He's it's what's the name? Ben Stiller. Is it Ben Stiller who plays his prospective son-in-law? He's going to marry his daughter, and he goes to visit him, and he's like, he goes, "Why don't you like cats, fucker?" He says, "Oh, no, I like dogs. I'm just a dog person." "Why don't you like cats?" "Cats don't sell out like a dog does, dude. Like dogs do. A cat makes you work for its love." And there's many. He's a brilliant character. He's absolutely superb characterization. Anyway, Marky says, if you're down Rendlesham Way again, let us buy you a beer, mate. Well, I won't say no to that, Marky. I'll let you know when I'm doing that, definitely. David Splendid Isolation says, on reply to comments 45, God doesn't need a creator. The first cause of all things is by definition uncaused and eternal. Atheists detest this, of course. It's unacceptable a priori, and they'll never accept it until they stand before judgment for themselves after having spent their entire lives kicking against. All right, that's the end of it. David Smith says, I'm not kicking against it, Dave. There is nothing I can see to kick against. But if it turns out to be the case, then so be it. My question is, how do you know it's the case? All right, I'm glad this thread is only 2 comments long. I thought we were going to get into a massive God, no God debate, and we'd have like a Dawkins, Christopher Hitchens versus Reverend somebody so-and-so sort of situation here. Which again, I might have to pause. I might have to pause and leave that thread for another video. But David Splendid Isolation does not reply to David Smith there. Charles Scott says, on reply to comments 45, I assure you, Ben, I'm not trying to undermine your reputation. I'm merely trying to get you to understand that Charles Unleashed's slanderous claim is proven to be false. That is, I pretended to understand his gibberish maths comment, and that he told me it was gibberish, and that Charles Unleashed claims I sent you this gibberish information for you to use in the UFO Truth magazine reference. See and read carefully all the screenshots here to prove it. Yeah, I've read it, Charles. I really have. And all right. I think I have read it, and I'm not having a go at you. I'm honestly not. But I think this is now between you and Charles Unleashed. I don't have time or the energy, especially now, to referee other people's arguments. I really do. And I've checked; they are different. I think I can see the difference here. Okay, with the formulae. Basically, what I would say to people is, if go to UFO Truth magazine, check out the formula that Charles sent me, which I put in there, which I didn't verify independently. I have to confess that. But it's there to be criticised, and if it is wrong, then feel free to contact me. Okay. As you said previously, you are perfectly capable of acknowledging the differences in the formula. Yeah, I've checked. They are different. Okay, they are. Do you acknowledge that Charles Unleashed gibberish maths comment does not correlate with my formula? If not, why not? It doesn't. No, it doesn't correlate. No, I accept that, Charles. If so, Ben, then do you acknowledge Charles Unleashed's slanderous claim is proven to be false? I strongly suspect that at least some of your YouTube viewers acknowledge it is proven to be false, without the need for a debate or tribunal, even if you can't, because the evidence is presented in the screenshot. What I see, Charles, what I see, Charles, does corroborate what you're saying. It really, really does. As for as for Charles Unleashed and what his motivations were, I think is between you and him. Sorry, I can't referee other people's arguments. It's interesting when people have debates, they have the same name, don't they? It's David Smith and David Splendid Isolation, Charles Scott, Charles Unleashed. Well, Charles Unleashed has a different count now. But Darren Helmsman, hey, hello, mate. Hello, Darren. How are you? That's on UFO Disclosure 2021. Stephen Bassett on UAPTF. Hello, Darren. Nice to see you. Same video. Preparation? Question mark. Right, preparation. It's just a one-word question mark. Responses. Preparation. Do you mean? Is it something to do with preparation for some? Is it like media? Do you mean by preparation the public is being prepared for information? Is that what you mean? But you just give a one-word comment here. You do. Oh, by the way, welcome Jilly the Mole. Is a new commenter, somebody I know, who's now commenting on my video. So good to see you, Jilly. Thanks for joining us, Jilly the Mole. Much appreciated. We have a UFO Disclosure 2021, Stephen Bassett on the UAPTF. We have Ravenhill, Old Sunday Segalia Merchant 1968, who says, "Good evening, Ben." Oops, sorry, I just remembered I've got to... Oh, I've got to just readjust my clipboard. There we are. Good evening, Ravenhill. How are you? And we have Benson Fables on the same video. Right. I watched Jeffrey Gonzalez from Fresno at Paranormal Central, and he has been doing his paranormal show since 2008 or 9, I think. Anyway, he's good friends with James Fox. All right, James, that filmmaker, yeah. A month before the UAPTF report came out, James appeared on the show briefly to talk about any updates and his new film, The Phenomenon, but also gave Jeff a heads up about the report that it will be released to the public, which is the UAPTF you mentioned, saying it will not contain much and will be more of a reference as to what has been seen and nothing much new. Well, that was correct, wasn't it? And he says here James was correct. And also let on to the fact that he can't say much at all, which is fair enough, of course. Yeah, well, obviously, several people got previews of this, Benson, yeah. It was leaked, actually. And they said it wouldn't be up to much, and of course it wasn't. However, as I said as Steve and I discussed, and as I've said in my own videos on the subject, there were some very interesting elements to it. It was not a complete damn squib, especially when you read through it again. It wasn't a complete damn squib. By the way, Jeff G has also appeared in a few worldwide TV shows some years back. Monsters and Mysteries in America, I think, is one of them. He's the guy who captured the Bigfoot face print on his car window. It would be brilliant if you interviewed Jeff. Sorry for the mini Walmart of text. Sorry, the mini wall of text. That's all right, John. Thank you for your time, bro. Not at all, Benson. You're very welcome. And yeah, I'd be happy to repeat to anyone. I mean, I'm a bit behind with HPANWO Radio at the moment. I've actually got more guests than I have slots right now, or potential guests. I'm lining them up at the moment, but I'm willing to take any details. If you email me or remind me, it'd be great. But I'm trying to get new guests on, and I've list them up. I actually had to take a week off because of Gareth, and several other things came up where I had to do like a short show and things like that. But anyway, Frank Triggs says on the same video, there was plans, I think you mean there were plans, for augmented reality game before the Xbox One was released, using Google Glasses and spectacles. I know because I wrote some music for the game, scores of themes to represent nations. Was a game where people all over the world connected on a network, shared their augmented reality with others on the network, building dwellings, making friends, etc. A type of Facebook social media connected game. It was scrapped because the technology wasn't cheap enough for the masses. Was being built / written between 2010 and 2012. It used your real surroundings, and you could build or augment your real surroundings with objects and buildings, etc. Frank, it's a very interesting thing, isn't it? It looks really weird when you see it. When you're actually there, everything looks normal, but when you look at it through a camera, you can see these other things around you. And this, I think you're referring to the bus shelter I mentioned. I've never seen a bus shelter like that. I mean, this was a few years ago, so it's finished now. But I wonder what it will be like, actually. What kind of experience it will be. Yeah. We got UFO Disclosure with Bassett and Frank Triggs again. Richard D. Hall has done a lot of good investigations. He's left the scene because of the toxicity among them. He prefers to be independent, not influenced by others. Why are you toxic against him? We need more solo investigators so we can make up our own minds. What has he done to you? What has he done to upset you? I know Andrew Johnson has been an unfeeling prick, and Richard has him a lot, but you shouldn't tar them with the same brush. Cheers, confused. I don't, Sir Frank, I'm not tarring them with the same brush. What has he done to upset me? He's done nothing to upset me. You see, why am I toxic against him, you say? I'm not toxic against him. I I think he's taken a wrong tack on a lot of things. And of course, he has done a lot of good investigations. But he prefers to be independent, not influenced by others. Now, I think the problem is that what irks me about him is that he has this dark vision of the entire truth movement. He sees really, basically, as it's him against the world. It's him against the bad guys and against all the fake truthers and the shills and the dupes of shills. And that's what I have a problem with. I have a problem with that. I have a problem with the fact that he's now abandoned all. He seems to have abandoned, or certainly in the shows I've seen recently, he's abandoned. I haven't seen all his shows, incidentally, so maybe he's done other things which prove me wrong in this situation. But the ones I've seen, he seems to have abandoned all areas of research apart from Peter Hyatt. Peter Hyatt is his magic wand for clearing up all controversy. So he does a program about the Rendlesham Forest incident in which he doesn't consult any of the researchers or look for any information at all, except get Peter Hyatt to come in and analyse the statements, and that is very bad. It's not. I don't think I'm being toxic against him, Frank, but he's as I said in one of my videos, he doesn't like criticism, and he gets angry when people criticise him. I'm just telling him, look, Richard, I'm not scared of you, mate. I'm not scared of you. If I think you're going wrong somewhere, I'm going to say so. You always say that to other people, and you hate it when people say it to you. But I'm saying it to you now. If you don't like it, mate, tough. That's what I'm saying. That's not toxic. That's simply not being a pushover. That's all it means, Frank. Okay. Charles from Project Camelot. Hello, Charles. I like your new name. I've had a look at your channel, actually. I can see all your old videos there, especially the ones with... There's the one with me. Then let us all punch the air for Richard D. Hall. I'm sure he will love that. Richard... You see, Richard... He moans about authoritarianism in this country, but then he himself can be authoritarian. And... he says we should stand up to authority. Well, this is me standing up to you, Richard. Do you understand? I defy you. I defy you, Richard. Yeah. So, I don't think that's toxic, all right? That's toxic. It's amazing there's so many double standards in this world, It's like, I don't think you would... Frank, have you ever criticised Richard D. Hall when he criticises others and said, Richard, why are you being toxic against architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth? Why are you being toxic against the... all the people he calls as shills, which is virtually everyone. Why are you being toxic against Linda Moulton Howe because he disagreed with you? You don't do that. Richard doesn't get accused of these things because people usually just I think they're just intimidated into silence. Well, I'm not going to be. See how we are living, says in reply. Yes, some of Richard's investigations have been brilliant, such as the McCanns. Yeah, that's a classic. That is. Some of the conspiracies have been well entertaining as well. Some of the things we deal with in this movement are very quirky and fun. Others are dark and upsetting. I thought he was very kind to you both in 2 3-part interviews he did with you. How else would I have known about the microchips? Yes, he was. Yeah, but the thing about it is, see how we're living. Richard's changed a lot since then. He seems to have become quite morose and pessimistic, and he was a bit more easygoing in those days. He was a bit more likely to be accommodating of differences, deal with things rationally when you have a disagreement with people rather than just calling them names and things like that. And he doesn't do that anymore. But it's a shame, actually, because the McCann's investigation was fantastic, and the Joe Cox one, as advertised on BBC Question Time. I pissed myself when that happened. That was just brilliant. There's that pompous MP going, I was sent this in my inbox. It's from Richard. He didn't say Richard D. Hall. It's the Joe Cox investigation. This is an idea of the anti-Semitism and the conspiracy that is going on. Oh, and I laughed my head off, and I'm sure Richard did too. Steve071 says, Richard is still a good independent investigator investigating all topics non-mainstream. Ben just thinks he relies too much on Peter Hyatt's analysis when tarring some of those involved in UFOs. Para and shill calling. Yeah. That's it, I think. Yeah, he's taken the wrong tack, and then he just expects people not to say anything because, he'll just. I think he believes that, because I don't think he's used to being criticised actually, because he can be very bombastic when it happens. Well, guess what? This is him learning that there are some people who will not be intimidated into not saying what they think about him. He's not, and I'm not going to be. And if it bothers him that much, there's always. What I used to say to... I've got to be careful what I say here. What was it I used to say to Slaxer? Abingdon Town Centre, mate. Abingdon Town Centre. Frank Trigg says, here on the same video, the part of the report says that USA military doesn't have the technology of UAPs is true, because all the companies operating and building stuff in Area 51 aren't part of the military. They're private contractors. It's written in legalese, not English. Outsourcing, Frank. Outsourcing. Exactly. It's the oldest trick in the book. I mean, they do it in the NHS as well. They bring in a private contractor, and the private contractor can go use legal loopholes to do things they wouldn't get away with if they were employing their own staff. The outsourcing of the UAP technology, and as I think the Wilson memo talked a lot about that, but that's not the only one. Bob Lazar, of course, worked for EG&G. Area 51 is essentially run by the military-industrial complex in many, many ways. I mean, technically it's a military base, but we know that the camo dudes, the security guards, are civilian contractors. And the various companies that work there because it's basically Area 51 is for testing and research rather than active military operations. Although active military operations do take place from there, we know that reconnaissance aircraft has been flown there at least since the late 50s by the CIA, the US Air Force. So yeah. But that's true. The state does this again. They just bring in someone else to do the dirty work for them, don't they? Yeah. Neil Peel says, interesting interview, Ben. It would have been interesting to see it with the video rather than the stills. Yeah, unfortunately, Steve was in a hotel room at that time, and they didn't have the connection speed for video. So, and Neil and I have a talk about that. Yeah, I'd rather have had like a video. The last one I did was on video. He did give me the option of waiting for a couple of weeks till he was back in his Washington studio, and I said, nah, let's get on with it. UFO Disclosure 2021, Stephen Bassett on UAPTF. Charles from Project Camelot says, Hawleyan perspective. Well, that's torn it at Ben. You just couldn't help yourself with all that Masonic air punching, could you? Yeah. Chat's crafty nice. Are you now leashed? Yes. And Charles, of course, is now not. He used to be unleashed, and is now. So is he now leashed? And Charles says, only to a mole. Ah, mole. Yes. Crafty Nihilist says, I read that as mole when I read it with bleary eyes this morning. Only to a mole. All right. Marky Boy says on here. Actually, I should just a sec. Oh bloody! I haven't. I better just. I'm going to check the spam folder. Oh, shut up, Clive Hamilton. I can't stand him. Whenever I open a YouTube video, I get Clive Hamilton. He's a climate change doomer. I didn't check my spam. I'll have to do the spam separately. Held for review. Hang on. Have I got anything held for review? No, I don't. Oh, good. I just realised I normally clear the spam box before I start my videos, my comments reply videos. I didn't do it this time. But Marky Boy just says here, this is what reminded me. Love you, YouTube. Was my comment deleted? You know, they do that sometimes. They're bastards, aren't they? Steve Bassett needs to take a closer look at the V word before having a pop at people who do not want it. It's not a V word for a start. My immune system is perfectly capable of seeing me okay. Asymptomatic has never been proven. I thought I was going to listen to about UFOs. I'm surprised you didn't pick him up on the whole V-word thing, Ben. But I understand that it was not what the talk was meant to be about, so I take it as you being polite, not sidetracking him into an argument. It triggered me, and I could not carry on listening to what else he had to say. I doubt it'll be the only one to switch him off. I doubt if I will be the only one to switch him off. And Steve071 says, yes, very misguided. V is a poison. Anyone V'd will regret it. Marky, you're right. What you say at the second part is you're right. You may have noticed I actually edited quite a lot of what he was saying in that respect, simply because you can't even put things on YouTube about this now. You can't even mention it on YouTube. That's what I'm saying, V word, rather than the word I need to use. But if I picked him up on that, it would have sidetracked the whole issue completely and gone on to a completely different subject. Which Steve does. Steve is quite mainstream in many ways. He focuses on the UFO issue, but he seems to be very much a specialist in that. So it really wasn't really my remit to pick him up on that time. Now, I'm going to be putting the more or less the same interview onto HPANWO Radio in a couple of weeks. Probably this week will be the first episode. It'll be in 2 parts. It'll be I'll be editing it slightly, but it'll be more or less the same video, and I will include some of the things. I'll include some of the material I actually edited out of this particular program on that, because Spreaker are a lot less censorious than YouTube. But I'm sorry you found that so annoying. But Steve was my guest. He wanted to say these things. I might well have had more to say. If it had been a different guest there on a different remit, I would have said more on that respect. Same video, Marky Boy says on another comment, I watched Greer's Cosmic Hoax. Yeah, I should point out actually there was an awful lot of stuff I wanted to talk to Steve about and never got the chance. I wanted to ask him about Greer. I wanted to ask him about the 11th green. I wanted to ask him about a lot of things, and I didn't get the chance. Greer's Cosmic Hoax. I mean, I told you what I thought about that in this particular video. I do not put him apart from Elizondo. I trust neither. But then I do not trust the Pope. By the way, do you not see the similarity between Leslie Kane and Nick Pope? Same glasses and hair. Maybe it's Pope in drag. Ooh, that's a point. Has anyone seen the two of them in the same room together? We got a new conspiracy theory here. Seriously though, Greer did get one thing pretty spot on, and that's the Nazi connection to NASA and governments across the world. NASA, the space race, certainly. Certainly. I mean, literally, it started in Nazi Germany. It's the rockets that took men supposedly to the moon, certainly into space. First of all, on the American side, and to a lesser extent on the Soviet side, because the Soviets had their own person. They had Korolev, who was their own builder, but they both used German technology and German expertise. However, they're basically an adaptation of the missiles that were dropped on London during World War II, the V2 ballistic missile. They're basically the rocket engines were adapted from that. I firmly believe in World War II. We won the battle, but they won the war. It depends who you mean by they, Marky Boy. I mean the Illuminati did indeed. Yeah. The whole it's a complicated business. I mean, Nick Colostrum has I did a whole video with him about the thing about World War. About the war, yeah. But if you mean the Nazis won the war, well, the Nazis were destroyed. But there were people controlling them who did. The people who were controlling them indeed did win, yeah. Ties into all that is going on at the moment. By the way, Oppenheimer looks a complete fruitcake in it, which, let's face it, he was. He was almost smiling when he delivers his Destroyer of Worlds comment. We are truly ruled by psychopaths. Smiling? No, he actually looks, to me, Marky, I think he looks very perturbed. He's, if you watch the video of him, he's like trembling. He's looking down. It's like, and his voice is shaking as he's speaking when he witnesses the Trinity test explosion. After that detonation, he says, "I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." It's from the Bhagavad Gita, the famous Hindu text. So I don't laughing. I don't. I'm smiling. No, he's not. I don't think. No. Now, the thing about Oppenheimer was worked alongside several other people who were very much into the occult, particularly Jack Parsons, who helped design the rockets. He was part of. There's several photographs with him and Oppenheimer together. Oppenheimer was working on the bombs and Parsons was working on the rockets. But He was into Aleister Crowley big time, very much into the occult. You may be interested in Thomas Sheridan's new documentary about Jack Parsons. Steve071 says, but as for, I should say at the end, we are ruled by psychopaths. I don't think Oppenheimer was one of them, but yes, we are. I mean, it's the kind of evil that's actually in control of the world. I've been getting very much into computing forever, and his videos about that, about the true nature of the Illuminati. There's also there was a very good video with James Dellingpole actually, where he Cosmic Claire was talking about it. I don't have time to go into it now, but that's very interesting about demonology and its connection to politics. Anyway, Steve071 says Elizondo, ex-CIA, they are taught to push lies. Well, Elizondo, I don't think he was ever in the CIA, but he was in the DIA, Army Intelligence, which is sort of the same thing, really. To confuse and deceive all for America's benefit, and Pope is still a puppet of the MOD pushing their narrative on UFOs. Wouldn't take anything they say seriously. It's all for a false agenda. As far as Nick Pope goes, yeah, I'm 100% behind you there. Elizondo, though, I think we should... I think the people who say that Elizondo, what you've just said about Elizondo, I think you're not giving him a chance, Steve. I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong and that we should just believe him, but he's being denounced without it being given, I think, recourse. I think his mission deserves a chance. If he really is a shell and he's misleading us, and we'll soon find out. I mean, it didn't take us long to smoke out Nick Pope, did it? And another one, going back a little bit earlier now, is Richard Doty. Richard, I've never met Richard Doty. I know several people who have, and they say he's a nice guy. I wouldn't be rude to him if I met him, but I would keep him completely and utterly at arm's length. But the history that guy has is unbelievable. And what's more, the thing is, he's confessed. Okay, we have next quite a long thread here. We have Bardi's Den on UFO Disclosure 2021, Steve Bassett on UAPTF. I'm sensing a reply from Steve mumbling in this video. Yes, oops, something weird happened there.
I gave a talk in Brisbane.
What happened there? Oops, what happened there? Hang on. Bardi's Den now says, I'm sensing a reply from Steve mumbling in this video. Where is old Stevie? Where has he gone? Yeah, he's been quiet, hasn't he? But though he hasn't contacted me yet for our debate, Steve. What's up with you, mate? Charles from Project Camelot from Project Camelot says this. Steve Mumbling's reply to this, absolute rubbish. Bardi's Den from a steaming pile. Charles says, how anyone with an IQ bigger than their shoe size could think he would respond to this is beyond me. Piffle peddlers, Codswallop spruikers. Oh, we'll go through the Steve mumbling cliches. And let's hear it from the man himself. Steve mumbling, the man who will not contact me and arrange the debate he challenged me to. Thanks, guys. All of the above. That saved me from a lot of typing. Poor Mr. Bassett, desperately trying to give his meaningless card-dwelling life some meaning. Pathetic nonsense. There is a truth embargo in place. It's perpetuated by Bassett and Jones and Co. The truth is, there is nothing related to ET visitation going on. There is nothing to disclose. They're the ones hiding the truth. And I'm waiting. Steve, as always, has made a lot of assertions here. Firstly, he uses a lot of rhetoric. He describes Steve's life as meaningless card-dwelling. Well, first, it is card-dwelling, but it's not meaningless. Pathetic nonsense again, rhetoric. And then you say there's a truth embargo that's perpetuated by me and Steve and others. Really? Why is that, Steve? You see, you're making these assertions and you don't actually produce any. You don't actually make a point here at all. There's nothing, he says here, there's nothing related to EC visitation going on. There's nothing to disclose. Well, of course, as you see in the video, Steve and I explained to you that there is. If you disagree with us, fine, but why don't you explain why, rather than just making assertions? There's lots of adjectives here. I'm looking for some proof. And then you accuse us of being the ones hiding the truth. Right, that's a serious accusation, Steve. You're accusing me and Steve of lying. Are you going to explain why? You're going to provide some evidence? And Charles said to Steve, well, that backfired. We were trying to draw you in with reverse psychology. And it worked, though, didn't it? And Steve says, thanks, Charles. Did you see the comments I posted regarding Greenwood's significant embellishment and Bassett before Ben deleted them? Oh, shut up, Steve. I haven't deleted any of your stupid comments, all right? If you're talking, I assume you mean John Green. Oh, do you mean Barry Greenwood or John Greenwald? I don't know what comment you're talking about. I certainly haven't deleted. I would remember it. I certainly haven't deleted it. I don't delete any comments except for the rude ones. Charles says, afraid not. Was it a knockout blow? All right. And he posts a link here. Well, it's certainly different. I'll try again. Can you spot the difference between the two Greenwood interviews? Oh, what's this? Is this... Oh,
This is all pure conjecture on my part.
Westall teacher discussing... You're right. Oh, this is James MacDonald. Oh, of all people, interviewing the Sky School teacher. All right. This accused. Oh, right. On the June 20th, 1967. Okay. I'm not actually. I know James MacDonald is very open about UFOs. I didn't realise that Greenwood did give this interview because he claims that he was basically scared into silence by these suits and uniforms that turned up at his house. Is this really Andrew Greenwood, Mr. Greenwood, the science teacher? Oh, right. But can I spot the difference? Well, I'll have to listen to it. I'll have to listen to both of them again to be sure, Steve, won't I? Show more replies. That's it. Okay. Charles says, Charles, Project Camelot, says on the same video, Bassett and Ben look like a couple of Sith Lords in this photo. I actually put a text comment under there. I decided the dark side was quicker, easier, more seductive. I worked that out before Yoda did. And this is the same video. Crafty Nolly says, Ben, Brian Cox is up in that tree. What's this? Oh my God, Brian Cox. What's he up to now?
Eat shit in time, motherfucker! A threat is...
Yes, yeah, that's the only reason I would go shooting up in the air, Crafty. Brian Cox was up there. And Crafty Nice mentions the V word and what Steve thinks about that, and he's absolutely right. I'm sorry, she's absolutely right. She and he, it's two people, are absolutely right. And I just think the problem is he crowbarred this completely different subject into this issue of disclosure. I know he thinks they're connected because he probably correctly believes the COVID-19 pandemic is affecting the disclosure process, and of course it is. It's affecting everything. But he then starts. Obviously, his views are very different to mine on this. And Steve071 says underneath, yeah, he's not as world-wise as he thinks he is. Certainly on the subject of the V word, Steve, yeah, he's not. He's absolutely not. Although, in order to correct him or to debate with him, would have completely derailed the entire conversation. You know, I mean, I think I'm quite a good interviewer. Actually, I know when to keep my mouth shut about certain subjects. I wanted to make this about the disclosure issue. I only discussed I only discussed the whole thing to the point where, what was it? I discussed the coronavirus thing to the point where it affects the advocacy movement and nothing else. And then Steve comes in with a lot of mainstream stuff about how to solve the pandemic. Diego Rivera says on the same one, Ben Emlyn-Jones and Cosmic Claire are the new Mulder and Scully. Well, not quite. I don't think. I think we're both like Mulders, though, Diego Rivera, because if you're of course, Scully was always the skeptic, wasn't she? I know she sort of comes around, doesn't she? Because especially later on in the program, because it turns out that she may well have psychic powers herself. Like, it's hinted later on that she has psychic powers herself. But she's always the skeptic, and Mulder is like spooky Mulder, the believer. And Claire and I are both like Mulders. And Steve Mumbling has posted on the same video simply a link to the Wikipedia page for the Westall UFO, which says, I think I've read this, Steve. What's it saying? Westall, yeah, I have read this a long time ago. Was an alleged UFO sighting in Australia that occurred on the 6th of April 1966 in Melbourne, Victoria. And it gives the basics of what happened. Grey, silvery green, saucer-shaped objects, purple hue, twice the size of a family car, flew over the school, disappeared behind the trees. Explanations. Weather balloon. Oh, how original. Don't tell me. Swamp gas. The Age described it as a weather balloon. There's the Clayton Murrabin area flying object. There was a photograph of that, yeah. But that wasn't a weather balloon, no. The Weather Bureau released a balloon at 8:30 with a westerly wind. It doesn't... The newspaper said aeroplanes were circling around it, but there's no known commercial or private or RAAF pilots in that area. No, obviously these would... If there were aeroplanes circling around it, I imagine they were from the intelligence services. What is it they call it in Australia? The DITSI or something? According to Keith Basterfield, that's a great name, that is. I actually wrote to Keith Basterfield at one point, asking him to be on HPANWO Radio. He wrote back saying, sorry, he didn't want to get involved with the case anymore. It was a runaway balloon from the high-altitude balloon project used to monitor radiation levels after British nuclear tests at Maralinga. Why can't they make up their own lies? I mean, why do they have to keep repeating? Why do they have to keep reusing cover stories? I don't get it. Do these people in government have no imagination? We've had the weather balloon. Now we've had the high-altitude research balloon relating to nuclear weapons. What does that remind you of, guys? What cover story, what other UFO case involved those two cover stories? The weather balloon and then the high-altitude spy balloon. Yeah, exactly. Come on, guys. Come on. You start hiring proper writers to come up with something a bit more exciting and out of the ordinary. According to the skeptic Brian Dunning, he did. Yeah, the guy he was jailed for fraud, wasn't he? So I don't want to get ad hominem like they do to us. A weather balloon is the likely explanation for the first half of this event, right? And he just repeats what Basterfield says. Yeah. And he said, a nylon target drogue, like a windsock, towed by one plane for the others to chase, and known to be in use, was at least one very reasonable possibility for the second half. Descriptions of what was actually seen have now become diluted with made-up descriptions by an unknown number of students who didn't see anything. There was no way which... according to the documentary, that's not the case. And it says here, 2016, there was Studio 10, a program in Australia, run a program about it. There was also a documentary. I myself did a 50th anniversary special on on HPANWO Radio. What's in this page? I mean, I did read this Wikipedia page several years ago, and it looks like it's pretty much the same. Is exactly what you would expect whenever these sorts of things happen. You get a whole load of the same kinds of cover stories coming out, and the skeptics lap it up and they repeat it. Now, if you watch the documentary, I mean, the phenomenon by James Fox is worth watching, but the actual documentary called Westall 66, I think it's on YouTube. I do recommend that. It's an hour long. It's worth it. It focuses on that particular case. There's so much else, like the fact that the TV tapes disappeared because people wanted to look at the TV news coverage. They went to the archives and the tapes had disappeared. Why is that? Why do videotapes disappear from a TV archive for a weather balloon? That's the end of the first hour. Why is that? It's something worth considering. So thank you for that. So thank you for that link, Steve. I'm not overly enthused. It's not very. I think that's actually something perhaps we could talk about if you ever bite the bullet and decide to bloody debate me, which you won't. Unless you find it. I mean, somehow you can get onto YouTube and get a Google account without an email. I don't understand that. Dearie me. You were the one who kept saying, come on, I'll debate you, Ben. We'll do a live debate. Stop hiding behind Sugrin. All right, well, I'm not hiding behind Sugrin anymore, according to you. Come on, let's debate this. Maybe after the fake alien invasion, we can do the Westall incident. What do you say? Anyway, back in a minute. Hour number 2. Welcome back. So, let's continue. Now we have UFO Disclosure 2021, Stephen Bassett on UAPTF. And Steve Mumbling says, you ask for my opinion and delete the comments when I respond. What? Why, Ben? I didn't delete your comments. Why? Where do you get this convoluted fantasy that I'm deleting your comments, Steve? I deny this. I refute this completely. Where the hell? Why would I delete your comments? And where have I done so? You just don't, it doesn't make any sense. Why would I do that? Why would I delete your comments? And why are you so insistent that I am? See what I mean by you and the rest of the ET nutters? Oh, for God's sake. Perpetuating the truth embargo. You can't handle the truth. No, that's Jack Nicholson, isn't it? Yeah. Look, I'm not deleting your bloody comments, Steve. I'm not. I'm quite. I enjoy your contribution. I really do, despite the fact I take the piss out of you. I really do. Perhaps I should do a video showing the 2 Greenwood interviews and highlighting the huge discrepancies between them. Yeah, go ahead, Steve. I'll be interested to see that. Maybe Bassett is worth shooting down in flames too. Well, you tried to shoot him down many times, but he's still flying, and so am I. Charles from Project Camelot. Ben, for the love of humanity, never do that Stephen Greer voice again. Oh, just once more, Charles, please, just once more. I'm your Messiah. I'm your God. But I'm just a country doctor from North Carolina. I'm very, very modest. All right, that's the last time, I swear. Oh my god, here's an old one. It's a really old one. Welcome to HPANWO TV. This is actually one of my first, I think it's my 3rd or 4th video. I remember. All right. Charles from Project Camelot. Ben, are you receiving this message, Ben? This may be hard for you to believe, but I'm a super soldier from your future that you will meet soon. I will be very angry with you, but that doesn't matter right now. I have come back in time to give you a message. Ignore it at your peril. You will be made aware of an individual going by the name of Steve Mumbling. And it is of vital importance that you do not engage. Repeat, do not engage. Your whole future may depend on it. Portal closing. Be seeing ya. That's so funny. You'll get the love heart for that. Oh, well. Unfortunately, Charles from Project Camelot, I didn't take your advice and I didn't engage him. I did not delete his comments, as he's claiming. But I didn't. Oh. Yeah, but thanks for anyway. I wondered who that was on that old video of mine. Yeah, time travel's a weird thing, isn't it? Patrick Patel says on UFO Disclosure with Steve Bassett. Thanks, Ben. You're welcome, Patrick. You're very welcome. Same video. JMH says he's got like a Wojak, like an NPC Wojak type avatar. I've not seen this guy before. Yeah, To the Stars Academy is credible, right? I think there's some sarcasm in that. TTSA is really on a bit of a downer. I mean, they've lost 3 of their most important members. I mean, they lost. There was the split. I know it's all very good natured, but they are really having trouble getting on without Mellon and Elizondo. They really are. There's a few that are left there, and I still follow what they do, but. But to the Star, TTSA, I've talked before about what I think of TTSA, and again, like it's not all black and white. Very often there's shades of grey here, and we are dealing with incomplete information. And the difference between me and many other people is other people tend to fill in the blanks with their imagination and either completely denounce somebody or laud them as the ultimate authority. I'm going to do neither. Right, Bases at the Barge 2021, part 2 of 2. Carl Helsby. Hi, Ben. I always enjoy to listen to you. Oh, thanks, Carl. I was meant to go to the Basis conference, but I was waiting for knee surgery, and I was offered a date for my op, and it coincided with the conference. Maybe next time. Thanks for all your work. Oh, you're very welcome, Carl. You're getting a love heart. I'm sorry, that's bad luck that it happened to have it happen on that day. Although it's good to get it out, it's good to get the surgery done, because I know if you turned the date down, they'd have probably put you back on the waiting list, and that could be God knows how many years. So obviously, if you've got a bad knee and it needs fixing, that has to be sorted. So yeah, but it'd be nice to meet. I'm sorry you couldn't get there. I hope your knee's all right now, and I hope to see you at a future event. And I'm glad you enjoy HPANWO TV. I try to give you an idea through my reportages of what the experience of being at these events are like. Right, The City and the City by China Mieville book review. Dresden Jack Schuler says, I'm stuck on what it means, two cities in the same geographic space. I've watched and read 20 reviews and still can't get what it means. Is there a one or two sentence explanation? Is it two cities but in different dimensions? You know, Dresden, this is exactly, or Jack, shall I call you, this is exactly what I thought when I read it. I literally had to, when I got 70 pages in, I had to go and read the first 70 pages again. Because I thought, what is going on here? I thought, is it like parallel universes merging together? What's the hell's going on? It is definitely, I think, the weirdest setting for any detective story that I've ever read. The answer is that Ulcoma and Beshel are like two. They are literally they are in the same space, yet the people appear to have a certain mindset of being in one or the other, and there are laws forcing them to think in a certain way. So they have to go through this little place, this big city hall or whatever. I can't remember what it's called. And then they go through customs, and they often come out onto the same road. But then suddenly, within their mind, they're in a different city, and the roads have different names. And they have slightly different languages, although the two languages are related. They speak different languages, and it's like they have to. It's like they're in the same place, but they're thinking they're in one place or another. And which means that if someone comes along and if you were in Beshel, and your mindset is in Beshel, you could be standing right next to somebody on the same street in the same place who is in Ulcoma, and you can't speak to them. You have to ignore them. If you don't, then you breach. If you breach, you're in deep shit, because then the breach people come and get you. It's a fascinating book, and Mieville is such an imaginative writer. He's really very good with things like that. Very surreal kind of descriptions and settings in his works. But you've read reviews and watched and read reviews. The best thing to do is read the book. But like I say, you might have to read the first few chapters twice. It's like I think it's like it's control over the people's thoughts and feelings. It's the control of the mind is what gets it. It's like they literally cannot, by law, I mean there's laws against it, believe you're in one city when you're in another, even though you're in the same place. It's really strange. Very strange indeed. Charles from Project Camelot. Here we are. Ben Emlyn-Jones at the UFO Academy, Watford 2. A new video. Ben walking and talking while completely missing the alien invasion happening right behind him. What? Russell, you're not invaded, are you? No. And I say underneath, I was trying to catch up on the news. Insomnia has its compensations. And Charles says, oh, right, so I take it Nick Pope has been telling you good news again with a green face. Nick Pope, yes, has been... I'm not really interested in what Nick Pope has to say, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, I was away. It would have been ironic if some like big disclosure or alien invasion thing happened while I was at the UFO Academy. Videos from the underground, says on UFO Academy. Mass mind control has residue and showing in London. The city of symbols, physical representations of memes. River Crane, one would never see it flying overhead to land at Heathrow. Oh, that's in that place where Colin and I explored, yeah. Visit Camelot Castle if you ever go to Tintagel. The owner does a show on YouTube. Yes, I actually went there. I went outside. I went into Cornwall. It was great. I've never really been to Cornwall before, except, well, I spent a couple of months at Tor Point at the HMS Raleigh when I was 18, when I did Royal Navy training. That doesn't really count. for the first time ever, I actually went to Cornwall, and I actually filmed it. It was it was my first or second Sky Watching in Devon video. And we went to Tin Chans and we saw it from the outside. The owner, he does indeed. They do it. There's a man and his wife. They do a show. I forgot what it is. I think are they Scientologists or something? I'm not sure. Something like that. Yeah. It's odd. But they've taken it over, hasn't they? Yeah. But I did watch a couple of their videos. I don't think they're Scientologists. They have some religion. I can't remember what it was. Anyway, videos goes on. Rennes-le-Château is like a little hill fort. Very interesting. Yeah, I've never been there, but it's had ever since Holy Blood, Holy Grail came out in 1982. They've like really had trouble because it was a tiny, unknown little village, and suddenly it's inundated by. I think they were getting 800,000 tourists a year at their peak. It has dropped a little bit actually. It resurged with the Da Vinci Code when that came out, but now it's. Much to the relief of the locals, it seems to have faded a bit. In fact, we don't hear much about the Rennes-le-Château mystery anymore. I mean, there's the Saunière Society that write in for Nexus magazine, and they advertise in there, but they cover all kinds of things. It was an interesting thing, though. I'm still interested in it. I'm disappointed in Boris. So bloody hell am I. Also, as he shifts with how the wind is blowing, that is a huge disappointment. Videos, it really is. I think the one thing I regret most, one of the things I regret most in the last couple of years is supporting Boris. Obviously, I don't believe he was controlled opposition from the start, so I disagree with Caroline Stevens and people like that on this. But obviously, he lost it. He buckled. I think he cucked, which is a huge. Of all the people I thought wouldn't, I thought he'd be him. You know, it's at least Brexit has happened. Yeah, I mean, videos. I'll never ever forget what he did with Brexit. I'll never forget that. Our voting system is corrupt, and it's not going to be fixed without a fight. There is hope as long as people keep fighting to correct corruption. Oh yes, there is hope. I mean, we know we're not alone in this videos. We know just the people here talking now. We know we're not alone in this fight. I really do think that. There's going to be the voting system. It's now so obvious. I mean, they decided to what they did in the United States with Biden, which I can't even talk about on YouTube. I've done old tech exclusives about it. It's like they said, well, look, someone said, look, we're going to have to do what we have to do. It's not going to work because we can't do it secretly. And someone just said, don't do it secretly, just do it openly. We'll control the narrative afterwards. I think we're going to see a lot more. I think we are going to see action against this because it's just so obvious now. I think April next year is a date to watch out for because that's when the French presidential election will happen. And if they rig it again so that Le Pen can't get in, something's going to happen. Something big is going to happen. I'll talk more about that nearer the time. Bases at the barge 2 of 2. Sheila Jordan. Hi, Sheila. The Men in Black, 8 spiritual beings, negative energy. 8 spiritual beings, negative energy. The only ones who shapeshift are the winged ones, Dracos, reptilians. Some are humanoids, machines, robots that look human. Some are cloned. Shadow beings are also spiritual beings, demons from the lower spiritual realms. Greys and tall whites work for the Draco. Winged ones, they're seen as slaves and puppets to these winged reptilians who have extra rib. Unlike humans, they walk up tall like humans do. They speak telepathic to you. And they smell between rotten eggs and stink bombs. Awful. And they're very scaly. The winged ones are the ones who have a tail. I'll just read more. Oh my goodness. Sheila, I don't think I can read all of this. There's about 2,000 words here. There's a whole list of things about reptilians and Jesus, the Illuminati, Freemasons, Bible. Oh dear. I appreciate you taking time to put this in here, Sheila, and I'll leave it. Your comment is there for anyone who wants to read it. I don't have time right now to read all of this. I'm sorry. I'll come back to it possibly later. But it's interesting. I am interested in things like the aliens and strange beings and demonology and things like that. I am interested in that, and I take what you said very seriously. UFO Academy. Missy Assert says, no government know how to manipulate some folks, and they scrambled the word salad of George Bush Jr. They're the folks we concentrate on. Everyone else is inconsequential. No government know how to manipulate some folk, and they scrambled the word salad of George Bush Jr. Oh yeah, well, but George Bush Jr. is a drivelling fool. He's a half-wit. I mean, he's almost as bad as Biden, and he doesn't have age as an excuse. He's much younger than Biden. But I mean, the things. I mean, Bushisms.com is a great website. I don't know if it's still there, but it was recording all his various gaffes. I'm sure there's a Bidenisms.com. Well, there's Facebook groups recording everything. All the stupid things he says. Yeah. Alex Ritchie, cheers, Ben. Hope you're well. Great venue and speakers. Thanks, Alex. It was really great fun. It really, really was. I'm actually going back there because there's like a social event to say goodbye to it. There's like a goodbye UFO Academy event. I'm going back. I think it's a private event, but if someone invites you, I hope to see you there. Ravenhill says, hello, Ben. Good to see you on Travels again, mate. Thanks, Ravenhill. It was bloody good to get out. I'll tell you, it was. It really. I've done. My tour has been absolutely fantastic. Obviously, things have gone really downhill since I got back, but yeah. Ravenhill. London is a nightmare now. A foreign city. Oh God, London. Yeah, London has a terrible energy to it. It's partly because, of course, it has been. How do I put it? Basically inundated with people of other nationalities deliberately, and this is not to get angry with them. I don't feel any animosity towards the people themselves, but I resent enormously this agenda that's been done, and it's been done to all our cities, where they just move people in from other countries with different cultures, put them together just to cause trouble, to cause discord, and to break down our sense of national identity, and just it's a form of attack. It's a form of warfare, and so that's really awful. But London's been like that now for a few years, but it's getting worse. And the atmosphere in central London now has changed significantly from when I went there last. It's nothing that I don't think it's related to the foreign nationals. I think it's to do with the fact that it's now. How do I describe it? It's a concentration camp pretending to be a theme park. I mean, not being able to buy things in there with cash. It's just what you hand over legal tender in a proper retail outlet, a licensed retail outlet, and they cannot serve you because you're using cash. And their excuse is, it's the same excuse as it always is. Well, I mean, the government are hanging. I mean, 9/11 was nothing to this. Oh, infection, cash causes infection. The government are getting away with so much on the back of this nasty little virus. They're loving every minute of it. I mean, it's like, Neil Oliver on GB News, he was great. He did this really good debate, and this pompous little prick came on and said, "Oh, Neil, are you honestly trying to tell us the government are enjoying this? The government are actually taking advantage of the coronavirus pandemic just to bring in more authoritarian laws?" And Neil says, "Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing." Steve071, thanks, Ben. Any reason why they cut your talk out? Edit. Okay, I've just seen you upgrade your talk at Newcastle, so I guess you didn't need it recorded twice. Yeah, Steve, I'm glad you enjoyed that. I did record my talk at the UFO Academy, and it's because of the acoustics and the microphone I was using. It was all echoey. It was like the one at Probe. It just was very, very low quality. It was barely audible. There is actually a proper recording of it on Project Camelot. You've got to pay. It's behind a paywall, but I don't think they charge very much. $3.50 or something a month. It was recorded properly. But as you just saw, I mean, it was just a short version of a much longer, more detailed talk that I did in Newcastle. Don't eat Pringles. The classic one. This Charles says, so many chemicals they made his shirt dissolve. Oh, I'm topless in it, aren't I? Yeah. It was a hot day, that was, back in 2011, I remember. UFO Academy, Paul Armstrong. How come we never see the delightful DeRoy on the Woo circuit anymore? In a sea of middle-aged bald men, she's a rare ray of sunlight. Oh, Paul, you're breaking my heart now. You don't like seeing a sea of middle-aged bald men. You don't just mean me. All right. Now Sandra is living abroad now, and I think she's I don't know where she's living right now. I think she's moved out the country, and she's not, and so she's off the woo circuit now, I think. But if you want to see her, I mean, I don't know if she's doing public events or anything anymore. I'm not interested in her. I mean, she's actually, as I've explained before, she's a difficult person to deal with socially, and so I don't have anything to do with her. Duncan Campbell on UFO Academy hasn't changed a bit. Love it there. Hey Duncan, how are you, mate? Good. Thanks for commenting. Tino says on Watford, great to see you out and about at another conference, Ben. I'm yet to experience High Elms Manor, but it's most definitely on my to-do list. Hey, Tino, you got to get there, mate. It's really... I mean, as I said, the good news is this probably won't be the last UFO Academy event at the Manor. Then you get the O'Neills. They're going to hire it. They don't own it anymore, but they are going to rent it to do future events. They're going to try to. So there probably will be other events there you can go to. Snarnock says on the UFO Academy, fantastic video, Ben. Perhaps your mood was affected by 6H minus one number and letter when you were travelling across London. Oh, right. Oh, I see. Yes, the old 5 grapes. I get it. Yeah, I get it. 6H. You're Starnock, you know how to avoid the old algorithms, don't you? Yes, the 5 grapes. I don't know. I mean, I personally, I've looked into it, and it's a little bit dubious, the whole 5 grapes thing. It really is, I must say. There's several people out there who have disagreed with it, and I'm putting it on the back burner, but I'm not taking it serious. I'm not going to say anything about it. I am not. Miles Lawler. Oh, he's got a timestamp here, and it is what? This one here. Let's have a look.
Now, funnily enough, over the last few days, while I've been at this event, I've had deja vu 3 times.
Oh, right, yes. Deja vu all over again. Great reportage, Ben. A break is as good as a rest, they say, but a break is better. Yes, it is much better. Thanks, Miles. And yeah, I had loads of deja vus. I don't know what Anthony Peake will make of that. Yeah, but Anthony Peake. But it was weird. It's just they came in a series. I had about 3 in a very short space of time. John Nolan says on UFO Academy, more freedom pints, Ben. Yes, indeed. Line them up. I'll down them in one. Gary Robinson says on UFO Academy, Ben, mate, if you ever need audio cleaning up from one of your talks, let me know, as I'd be happy to. Cheers. Thanks, Gary. I will... If ever, obviously it wasn't really a problem this time because the talk was one I was going to do. And in fact, I did a longer, more detailed version of it. But yeah, if ever I get a bad recording and I really, really need it, then that's going to be... I'll let you know, mate. Thanks very much. Same video, Gary Robinson. In regards to the recent Star Trek Discovery, according to Doomcock... What a name. Who's Doomcock? It's been dumped by a network due to low ratings and the fact they could not get any toy companies on board because they know that toys connected to woke shows don't sell. Gary, it's like we were saying earlier on, wasn't it? Yeah, I think we've passed peak woke now in the movie and TV industry. I think we have. It's good. This is a good sign. I mean, this is another example of what I talk about in my Newcastle lecture about how the Illuminati, they're not all powerful. They make mistakes, they get it wrong, and very often they fail. And I think this is an example of one of their failures. Right, we have Truth Seekers Northeast 7, and we have Rainwater, who says, "Oh, my darling boy." Oh, Rainwater, you make me blush. Who is Rainwater? I hope you are some... Are you some incredibly gorgeous... No content. Blank channel. Well, there's an avatar, but apart from that, that's a blank channel. Rick Cleland. Hi, Ben. Hi, Rick. How you doing? Thanks for watching. Diego Rivera says, and this is all Newcastle, Truth Seekers Northeast. Ben Emlyn-Jones live at Truth Seekers Northeast in Newcastle. The British did not conquer the Romans. The Romans created the city of London. Freemasons and Johnson need to be imprisoned. No, the Romans. No, the British. The Romans conquered Britain. The Romans were Illuminati occupation, and they moved on to the Catholic Church and the black nobility and people like that after the Roman Empire. So through the Middle Ages, the Illuminati continued to use these institutions that were created by the Roman Empire to rule the world, including the City of London. As for, I don't know about Freemasons generally, but some of them maybe. But Johnson needs to be imprisoned. Yeah, I mean, Boris has had, I don't know what he'll say in mitigation if he's on trial, but he there was no excuse for him. He had done so much with Brexit. He could have been. Why did he cuck? What excuse does he have for cucking? I mean, if his wife or kid was threatened, I'd understand that. But obviously, they were set free. If that had happened to them, they were set free. So why didn't he fight back? Why hasn't he fought back? Brian Clare, hey Brian. I know Brian. Brilliant speech. I can't disagree with anything you said. Thanks, mate. Hope you're doing all right. Steve071, did you have any time to visit some places while you were in Newcastle, Ben? Edit. I've just watched the follow-up video, so now I know. Yeah, I did my off-duty video as always, yeah. David, splendid isolation. 162 quid is absolute daylight robbery. Yeah, I'm... Obviously, the organisation I'm doing the speak talk for, they have to pay for it, not me. And I don't want to charge them a lot of money though. And as Ronnie Pickering says, absolute daylight robbery. And Steve071, yeah, fucking liberty. But you can get overpriced pints when you're on board. Yeah, you do. I mean, the actual catering is very expensive on a train. Next time, definitely, I'm just going to go back to the coach. Definitely, it was actually a gift from somebody. So as I explained, one of the members actually bought it me as a gift. So they really paid for it, and I appreciate that. I think they were trying to do me a favour, but without knowing it, they didn't. It's not their fault, and I appreciate their gesture. David Pierce says on Truth Seekers Northeast, right, now I've got my coffee. Here we go. Yes, R.I.P. Ian. Yeah, I dedicated my talk to Ian R. Crane. I mean, we've lost someone else since then. Someone I'm even closer to. UFO Academy Watford, Steve Mumbling says, the guy with the science fiction story about having sex with an alien that looked like a human woman turned into a reptile halfway through, though, is obviously a 50-year-old virgin that still lives with his mum. Human females are warm to the touch. Reptiles are cold-blooded critters. She would have been stone cold. Oh, really, Steve? Well, I didn't know you were so much an expert. I didn't know you were such an expert on human females, to be honest. I always assumed you weren't. But if you actually look at things like Repcon, the Repcon videos, I don't know if they're still up there, because I did a report on Repcon where I was the MC. You'll know that that people turning into non-humans is a real thing. It does happen, and sometimes it can happen in some of the worst situations, such as when you are making love, or when you're living with somebody, or you're sitting somebody, or talking to somebody. It's an awful thing. It really is. Dr. Keith says, Google The Cat from Outer Space, 1978 movie. Oh, let's have a look. What's this? I have seen it. The Cat from Outer Space. Oh, here we go. Is a 1978 American science fiction comedy. All right. Dirty blood. There's a long thing here. I don't. I've Googled it. It's just a movie. I remember seeing it when I was a kid. See How We Are Living. Truth Seekers Northeast. Who shot George Floyd? Oh, smart Alec. Yes, I made a mistake, didn't I? But then, look at the thing about it is, the actual trial. I mean, I've never covered this in detail, but the show trial of Derek Chauvin, which is what it was a farce. It was nonsense. Of course, he wasn't shot. Whatever happened to him, the actual verdict didn't tally with with the evidence being presented. I think he'll probably be released on appeal there'll probably be another trial, which with less media attention. But I said shot when I shouldn't have said shot. And See How We Are Living pointed it out. John Nolan, who shot JR? Ooh. David, who killed John O'Neill? John Nolan. Who killed Cock Robin? Oh, well, let's keep it going, guys. Anyone else? Who killed Kennedy? Yep, not Lee Harvey Oswald. Same video, Be the Truth. The snake in the Garden of Eden is the original ancient version of the Matrix, and the the option to what? And the option to take the blue and red pill. All right. That's interesting. Yeah, I think there is you see, the Wachowskis are very aware of mystical philosophy, and you see it also in the film they wrote. They didn't actually direct it, but they wrote it, which was Cloud Atlas. And there's many references to things like that in the Matrix, related to the fall of man and samsara, especially from Oriental mysticism, like samsara, the illusion of the universe, and things like that. Yeah. So yeah, that there is this kind of Genesis type thing. The whole Adam and Eve story is symbolic of man's relationship with the divine. I don't believe it were two literal people, but it is expressed in several films like The Matrix. Be the Truth says on Truth Seekers Northeast. Yep, NASA website shows a Muamua like a flipping turd in space. Oh, it looks, it's crazy. I mean, some scientists, this scientist was really rude to Avi Loeb, and one of them actually said, "Oh dear, why couldn't it have just been normal? Why couldn't have a Muamua have just been a normal object we wouldn't have to worry about?" I think the special friend, so-called, is Baron Trump in a silicone face mask, but I just will look at that. The special friend. What was that a reference to? Sorry, Be the Truth. By the way, did you know, Ben, that 5,000 macaque monkeys, let alone the other species, are stolen from the wild and tortured in horrendous psychopathic evil experiments? That is more new would end this evil cycle, but just like the child in sex trafficking, there are many denial mechanisms and distractions. Wakey masses, a psyop inversion of these. The 100th monkey syndrome, rewash potatoes. We are seeking to do similar without human and others community. Within the human and others community. Yeah, we are. And I think we're getting there. I mean, it's horrible what's going on, what Big Pharma does with the animals. Yeah, it really is. Steve Mumbling, nitinol. Entirely terrestrial material, really. Hang on, this is nickel titanium. Also known as nitinol. Oh, right. So it is actually not something unique. The name didn't actually come from the Brigalia documents. Fair enough, Steve. Oh, fair enough. It is a known alloy. However, the thing is, according to the documents, the 11 pages that were released from the 150 or whatever it was, indicate that this particular type of nitinol wasn't like this other stuff here. It wasn't. It was not exactly the same. There was something about it which was different, and to what we're talking about here. Oh, excuse me. Right. Truth Seekers Northeast. Hatchy. Ben, it would be good to see you do a show on crop circles, as you're aware more to them, and not many others out there talking about the subject. Love and respect from a shed in Hampshire, crop circle hotspot. Love to you too, Hatchy. Thank you very much. And you know what? I have done several videos on crop circles if you want to see them. Also, check out my Glastonbury Symposium. It's called Ben Goes on Tour, spelled T-O-R, that video. And I go to visit some crop circles in that video. I've done several other videos on crop circles and lots of articles on HPANWO and HPANWO Voice. Messiah Cert says on Truth Seekers Northeast, TV and mainstream media are obsolete. They know it but can't accept it. Yeah, well, yes, they are just sitting talking to themselves right now. They can't just they can't just admit it, can they? Paul Armstrong says, so good for you to be back in the bosom of the Northeast Truthers, Maureen and co. Is it fair to say the appeal of the Truthers is becoming a tad more selective now? It's held in a living room. Shame about the T-shirt, though. It's held at someone's house, yeah, because the hiring the venue wasn't possible this time. But it's not being selective, Paul. It's simply the way things are with the organisation at the moment. They may go back to the Walkerville Community Centre. We'll have to wait and see. Be the Truth says on UFO Academy Watford, yup, all rabbit hole jumpers and travellers have breakthroughs, resembling breakdowns. And the black pill, as you put it, yup, evil overload, knowledge of the energy around it, so need it to detox. That and take breaks and balance that up with positivity, earth, life, beauty and wonders of creation. That's true, Be the Truth. You have to look after your own sanity in this insane world, very much so. It's good getting into this business. I understand why someone new to it might just turn away. It just very quickly crossed my head at one point years ago, but I can't now, and I wouldn't. It'd be wrong, and I couldn't even if I could, I wouldn't, because it would be wrong. UFO Academy Watford, Be the Truth. Not obvious enough ever for the seared. The hive mind NPC mass is an idiot. I agree with the second bit. I don't understand the first sentence there. Not obvious enough or ever for the seared. Sorry, I don't understand. Family sadness. Grr, autocorrect, says Helen Moody. Did you put another comment on Helen? I can't see it. But anyway, it's I've met you, actually. I met Helen. I know her. That's safe, yeah. Truth Seeker Northeast. Lisa Cry Freedom. Hello, Lisa. I've gotten off at Newcastle so many times, Ben. Seems a long time ago already, though. Glad you made the train. Going to listen to the talk now. I hope you like it, Lisa. Yeah, I know you've been to Newcastle. I know you know some people in the area. It's a lovely, lovely group, and I love being there. Legend Real. Thank you, Ben, and a big thank you to Truth Seekers Northeast. An excellent watch. You're very welcome, Legend Real. Thank you very much. UFO Academy. Crafty Nihilist says, what's this? For heaven's sake, Ben, give that elephant a bun. Oh, there's a timestamp. What's this?
Very interesting about Eisenhower and UFOs.
Oh, it sounds like an elephant, doesn't it? It's actually a dust cart. It sounds like an elephant, though, yeah. Truth Seekers Northeast. Dr. Keith, you should have asked Simon for a lift, as the spaceship would have been quicker than the train. Simon Parks. Well, if he was in the area, I might have jumped on board. Yeah. UFO Academy, Crafty Nihilist again. Also another timestamp. What's going on here, Ben? What's this? 1 hour, 1 minute 28. 1 hour 28 seconds 48.
Look at that amazing
Tapestry.
I don't know who did that, but it's...
Oh, right, yes, I decided to put in a little correction there because I was a bit incoherent. So I did a little bit of studio editing afterwards. Yes, I hope you'll forgive me for that. It was just quality improvement, not deception. Truth Seekers Northeast, John Nolan. Where was Colin, Ben? Love to see the both of you doing a road trip to Roswell. Well, Colin couldn't get to Truth Seekers Northeast, John. As for the Roswell, I'm hoping to get to the Roswell Festival. I've got the money saved. As I explained in the previous video, I was going to spend that money on something else, but it was not to be. But I'm going to, yeah. It'd be great. I mean, it'd be great for us to do a road trip. Like we get, rather than getting the plane all the way there, we could like get off at New York and drive across the US. That'd be great. That would, yeah. Crafty Night, UFO Academy, Crafty Night. Brilliant video, Ben. The world needs more Ben and Colin videos. We will see what we can do, Crafty. We will. Truth Seekers Northeast, Crafty Nihilist. Good job, Ben's secret. Good job, Ben's secret benefactor. Last time your journey was as painful to watch as it was to do. Well, Crafty, I'm glad you enjoyed the journey. You obviously enjoyed it, watching it a lot more than I did doing it. I won't be going. I will not be going. I certainly will not be going on the train again. Definitely not. Next time it's cheaper and it's much more pleasant, although it's much longer to get the coach. Miles Lawler. Right, Miles is referring to, this is Truth Seekers Northeast 7 Off Duty, new video. And he's referring to the editing I had to do on several of the speeches at the Truth event. Nice one, Ben. The Geordie accent must be the best in the world. Apart from the Welsh, of course. Yeah. Steve-070 says, Steve-071 replies, why, aye, man. I'm from just down the road in County Durham. I get taken for a Geordie as soon as I go 50 miles outside the area. David says Mackham. See, that's someone from Sunderland. Steve says to David, close, but not sure what the Durham equivalent is. You know, they all speak in what's it called? There's actually a word for it for all the dialects of that region. It's not Northumbrian. What's it called? I was looking it up the other day. Let me go to Wikipedia because it's very interesting. I'm very interested in languages. And it's Geordie is just like Geordie. Here we go. For a person, and the dialect. Here we go. Tyneside English, Newcastle English. There are different definitions of what constitutes a Geordie. Geordie. Here we go. Disambiguation. Where's the? Now, there's somewhere there was like a vocabulary, phonology, linguistic surveys. There was actually a word for the. What was it called? Let me just see. I'll go another way. For some reason, it's not here. Oh, hang on. Scots language. Here we go. It's related to the Scots language. You see, it's West Germanic language variety. Modern Scots, early Middle English. Where is it? History. I'm sorry. I'm getting off. I'm going off topic now, aren't I? But I'm desperate to find where it is. Oh, Anglic. Here we are. Anglic. Here we go. Anglic languages. That's Insular Germanic or English. That includes Old English. That includes the various types of English, Scots, and Frisian. Now, what is the word for the collective name? What is the collective name for the whole thing? I can't find it. Here we go. Ingvionic languages, North Sea Germanic, Old Frisian, English, Old Saxon. Bloody blur. But it includes. Oh, I give up. Sorry, I give up. I can't derail this video any longer. But there was a word for. There's actually a word. I forgot what it's called, but it refers to all the dialects of the northeast. That is Geordie and its various associates. It's actually different from an outsider. I actually can't tell by listening the difference between someone from County Durham or Newcastle or from somewhere else in Northumberland. I know that people within who are used to the language, the dialect, they can hear the difference. I can't personally. But there's a word for that entire collection of dialects. Sometimes it's considered like a language in itself, like Scots, which is considered a language separate to English, in the same way Frisian is. Same video, Truth Seekers Northeast off duty, Steve071. You're doing good, Ben. I ask you a question, but then my answer plays out in your next upload. Yes, I've noticed that this time, yeah. Enjoying yourself. Loved your overdub V-word, C-word, F-U, YouTube, C-word, F-word, T-wats, bell ends. Like David's song as well. Oh, yeah, it was good. Dave did a good job there, didn't he? Funnily enough, I got a copyright strike for Dave's song because the tune actually was not his own. Well, actually, it wasn't a copyright strike. It was like a notice. It wasn't. There was no penalty for my channel. But it's not his own tune. But it doesn't. I don't care. I would still have included his song if I'd known that. Dr. Keith says on the same video, Ben, have you ever been an agent of the Interplanetary Feline Federation? I think this is to do with this film, The Cat from Outer Space. I might have been when I was a kid when I watched it. But I'm not anymore. I think I've defected. Oh, this is good. Unwashed and somewhat slightly dazed. That's a good name. Enjoyed Richard's talk. Oh, thank you. Thanks to Richard. I like your name. Unwashed and somewhat slightly dazed. Same video, flappy hands. Loved your words replacement. Shows the absurdity of YT censorship. It bloody does, doesn't it? You've got to jump through these damn hoops. As I said, why don't they just sign Section 230 and be done with it? But they won't, because they want to censor us. They want a pretext for controlling. Hugo Rune says on True Seekers Northeast, global homogenous system? Sorry, religion prevents that. Not that I'm religious myself, but Islam? All right, I'm not sure what that refers to, Hugo. Sorry. Hugo Rune, I thought you might have something to say about this. I am now confused. I used to think that I was not English. I was born in London, but I am British. And British included Welsh, Scots and Irish, as in the British Isles. But you have got me rethinking. Who came up with the term British? I know the Irish do not consider themselves British, though their country is in the British Isles. I now think I was wrong. Britain was a Roman invention. Thank you for educating me. No, Hugo. Britannia was the name of Roman Britain, which it was claimed that they claimed all of what is today England and Wales as far north as Hadrian's Wall. For a short time, they claimed southern Scotland as well. Although there's distinct evidence that the Romans had very little influence in, say, what is today Cornwall and Devon and that area. And what is today Wales was always a very recalcitrant part of the country. But areas in what's today southeast England were very Romanised. Even before the conquest, they were culturally and economically Romanised. So I think when I said that there's a difference between Britain and Britannia. So I think I hope I've clarified that. Truth Seekers Northeast 7 off duty. Alex Ritchie. Another good one, Ben. Thanks, Alex. Much appreciated. Snarnock says on Truth Seekers Northeast, if there was a fake alien invasion, it would be funny if the real aliens showed up at the same time. That would be one of these weird turn-ups for the books, wouldn't it, Snarnock? Yeah. That would be one of those very strange events, yes. Gary Robinson says, great intro music, reminds me of Hilda on Netflix. All right. I don't watch much. I do pillage someone else's account in the house, but I don't like Netflix because of the reasons I explained in my video with Rin Michaelis. But it's actually Chris Zabriskie. He's a great performer. He allows accredited use of his music. So I often use a lot of his tunes because I think they're really good. UFO Academy. Oh my, Lime Specs, hello. Oh my god. What was the edit for the audio for the tapestry? What did you call it at first? Oh, I don't want to say Lime Specs, but you know, it was it was just very embarrassing. I made a blunder, so I decided to do some studio editing. It's nothing sinister. It's just I just made a cock up, and it was so bad I thought I'd change it. Off duty. Hugo Rune says, well said. Dark matter energy does not exist. I've been saying that for years. Oh, thank goodness I've something we agree on in physics, Hugo, definitely. And now we have a thread here on off duty. Lisa cried freedom. Bloody steel in his shades. Don't trust that man 1 inch. Sorry, I know you. To be honest, Lisa, I don't know that much about him. I've seen him talk a couple of times. And I just decided to record his speech. Steve Mumbling replies to someone called Watch Him, He's Not One of Us, who I can't see. Once again, I can't see some comments here. Steve, ironically, accuses me of deleting comments, whereas I don't delete any comments, but there's someone I can't see. What, like their... oh, dear. I can't... I'm not going to reply... I'm not going to read out comments you're replying to, Steve, when it's somebody else. He says here, Ben's stuff is harmless, rubbish mostly. Amusing nonsense. Steele's stuff is dangerous rubbish. Ben really shouldn't give that cretin a platform. Really, Steve, well, I don't... I don't necessarily endorse what Mark Steele was saying, but I don't apologise for just recording his speech. And Limespec says, sorry, Ben, I have to agree with old Steve here. Whoever that chap was unhinged, seriously. The woman was no better either, for God's sake. Blocking bridges, you need to disavow this shit sharpish. I personally don't think that putting roadblocks on bridges is very productive. I don't disavow the people who do it, but I think it's a bad tactic. I think it just irritates people, it annoys people. Look what Extinction Rebellion did when they put up roadblocks on there. You see? Lisa says in reply to Watch Him, I can't see Watch Him anywhere. So Lisa is, I can see a one-sided conversation with Lisa and Steve, and I can't see Watch Him. He's not one of us. Watch Him is not. If you are out there watching, why can't I see your comments? I don't get this. I've not blocked you. If I blocked you, you wouldn't be able to comment. So I don't know what's going on here. BZ Garson says, I just watched that raving lunatic that is Mark Steele. He's actually advocating his supporters to bear arms. Quote unquote bear arms. That alone could get this video flagged and took down. I think, no, what he's doing, BZ, is I think he is advocating. I mean, it's not just him who says this. We allow the lawful use of force. I don't think I didn't hear him say anything illegal. He's on a grift like most top bullshit spreaders. His political party, Save Us Now, has a donate page. If Ben has any sense, he'll edit it out. No, I'm not going to edit it out, BZ. I'm going to leave it there so people can see it and make their own minds up. I don't endorse everything he said, but if it was someone else, I would do it. Yeah. Oh, and BZ Garson has now quoted somebody. I think it's Wikipedia. Yeah. BuzzFeed News. Okay, I get it. And then there's something to do with Watch Him, he's not one of us. I don't see why, if someone is at a talk, I can't record, why I shouldn't record them. I really don't, regardless of what they say. I don't see why I shouldn't record what they're saying. I think you guys have a low opinion of him. I don't know much about him, to be honest. Same with Jenny, the other lady. But once we start saying, well, I'm not going to... he didn't actually say anything that broke the law. If he did, that video would already be flagged and taken down. It's weird. I lost my Boris and video, didn't I? The return of Boris and Trump. That was taken down. It's weird, isn't it? Off duty, Snarnock says, Richard's mention of Doggerland reminds me of that strange stone structure shaped like disc which was found in the North Sea a few years ago. Snarnock, I know the one you mean, but it's actually found in the Baltic Sea. We still don't know exactly where it is, but I suspect it's in the Gulf of Bothnia, which is like the northern part of the Baltic Sea. The reason is that you can't go there in winter because it's frozen over with ice, which indicates it's actually in the northern. It's like the Gulf of Bothnia between Finland and Sweden. We don't know exactly where, but yeah, that was a very strange thing, very strange indeed. Snarnox says here, how am I doing for time? Oh, just 7 minutes remaining. Knowing that the Northeast voted Leave, it does not surprise me that there are so many truthers in that area. I remember you said that Oxford is a Ramona Central. Yes, it is. A Ramona is likely to believe the lies and propaganda by the government and other agencies' current agendas as a package. Yes. Unfortunately, that's right. Unfortunately, as I said, there are people on our wavelength in Oxford. I mentioned that the Yahoo Whole Food shop, the lady who runs it, is very much on our wavelength. I have brilliant discussions with her. That's where I buy my fluoride-free toothpaste, as I said in another video. Je suis Tadpole. Hi, Je suis. How are you? Off duty. Thanks, Ben. Loved Richard's talk, and yours too, obviously. Thanks very much. Much appreciated, Tadpole. TK on Truth Seekers Northeast. Can you maybe provide a top 5 things that are going to happen next? Oh, blimey. Top 5 things. I don't know. Sorry, TK. I've got no other talks planned right now. Off duty. Patrick Patel. Hi, Ben. I think this time last year you did a walking video and you were eating blackberries. I love that one, bro. Oh, thanks, Patrick. Yes, I went to the cinema. It was one of my roving reviews. I can't remember what film it was, but yeah. It was good though, wasn't it? It was nice to have the blackberries. I've been eating them again. There's some lovely wild apple trees as well near where I work, so I've been stuffing my face on apples. Again, it's nearly the end of the season, but there's still a few left. I grabbed 2 today on my way to the shops. Knee Boopsh. That's a great name. Knee Boopsh. Says on live stream of Rin Michaelis. I think this is the first one. Kek, hey Rin, get on Gab. I cracked 50 bands on our usual communication tool. Rin is on Gab, I think, isn't she? Let's have a look. No, is she not? That's odd. Yeah, I can't. Let me just. Maybe I just. Rin Michaelis. Nope, she's not on Gab. I'm sure she was at one point. I know she's on. She's on others. She's on Mines and BitChute and places like that. This is a Crash of the Lizard Prince. That's another video. Maiden Fan 71. There's an Iron Maiden song called Only the Good Die Young too. The chorus goes, only the good die young, all the evil seem to live forever. Yeah. Yes. I don't know that song. I'm not like a big on Iron Maiden, but yeah. There's definitely, but Maiden carries on. There's definitely something in it. I remember the Queen mum dying aged 101, although it wasn't cancer that killed the Queen's father and put her on the throne, or was it? What was it? How did George VI die? King George. How did he die? Here we are. King George VI, death. Illness and death. Bloody blah. The war took its toll on the king's health, made worse by heavy smoking, lung cancer, and others, atherosclerosis, Berger's disease, whatever that is. He lost it. He lost his leg. Oh God, my goodness me. The loss of the leg. Oh my goodness, I didn't know he lost his leg. And then he died, and of course in 1952. Yep. 6th of February 1952. Right, so he seemed to have a lot wrong with him, but one of those was lung cancer. Yeah, he was a heavy smoker. So yes, it wasn't just cancer, it was other things, but that was a part of it. Truth Seekers Northeast, BZ Garson. Ben on the northeast leg of his One Living Room at a Time tour. I nearly choked on my black goo when Ben mentioned science and logic. Oh my good, BZ. BZ, you want to cut down on that black goo, mate, you really do. It's unless it's Nutella. Crafty Niles says on Truth Seeker Northeast, if anyone's wondering, which they aren't, it's flickering because the light's on. It happens to me at work on Zoom meetings. Are you still reading this? Are you mad? It is one of the most boring sentences ever written. You're welcome. Oh, right. Was there flickering on there? It could have been a camera effect, but sometimes I get flickering. I don't know if it's doing it on OBS. It's not right now on this camera, but maybe it is on others. I don't know. Then Veneer Traditionist. Oh, right, now I put this particular... I put this notice up. This is a notice I put up on... where was it? Oh, bloody heck, it's a community notice. Why can't I see the post? Right, oh, here we go. Your post on YouTube. I put this up on... when's the date? I didn't even give you the bloody date. It was just, dear viewers, because I was quiet for a long time after that. But it was because Gareth Davis of Mindset Central was ill in hospital, and I asked for healing thoughts and prayers. I'm not actually going to put a... I'm not going to answer every single one of these comments, all right, because people posted a huge number of supportive comments, and the same goes for the comments on the other two videos I made about Gareth. I'm not going to put replies to them because there's too many, because people are just sending me their love and caring and the healing and prayers for Gareth, and then later on for me and for his family. And so I'm going just to not reply to those. I'll just put love hearts on them. But I'll reply to some of them. For example, Tommy Time Television. Where were we? Says, I don't want to offend or swear, but please get the V word, Ben. My girlfriend Vanessa works in the Manchester Royal Infirmary and says so many self-admitting V word skeptics are in hospital at the moment. you've got too much charisma and our universe of information to be dying of this. I feel worse of heavily loaded. I felt worse of a heavily loaded butty than I did on V's. If you are not going to get it, be careful going into crowded areas. Tommy, I take the precautions I need to protect myself and the vulnerable to the extent that I can. I really can, but I'm not getting the V word for reasons I've explained. It's not. I don't agree with you about it being. Firstly, I don't believe people ended up in hospital who have been V'd. Some people have been double J'd and they are still in hospital. They still catch the new variant. Oh, that's the end of that. Time to go on to the next part. Oops. So that's see you in a little while. Okay, back for hour number 3 on this particular video. Now on this particular comments reply video. Right, now we now have Tommy Time Television again. I'm going to reply to this one, this comment here. He says here, I say this because I've followed you since 2011 on YouTube and I like you. Oh, thanks, Tommy. Much appreciated. You've got too much to give, a vast knowledge, a great storyteller and talker. A lot of people a lot of unV'd people are going back into crowded areas and becoming very ill. They are unable to fight it off. I know of 2, a 34-year-old kids football coach and a 36-year-old, both fathers, both V's, skeptics, and both have passed away, sadly. Well, I'm sorry, Tommy. Tommy, I really am taking care to protect myself. I really am. I know I'm not one of these people who just say, "Oh, there is no C word. It's just nothing to worry about." I know that now better than ever because you know what's happened since then, don't you? You know what's happened in my life and the life of all of us and the life of my friend Gareth. But the idea that you can put something in you is somehow I don't trust the agenda behind what this intervention that is being imposed on us virtually. I really don't trust it. I know that the thing is there is a risk from this disease. There's a risk from the flu. I mean, you can die of the flu. It can end up in pneumonia, especially if you have underlying health problems. I don't personally. I did have the C word when the outbreak first happened. I caught the alpha variant, the original one, the worst, and I survived. I didn't only survive. I never felt I was in any danger. I was very poorly for about a week. It felt like excrement, but it was like a very bad case of the flu. But I got over it. So I'm afraid I'm not willing to risk this intervention, knowing what I do firstly about its safety record, and knowing also what I do about the agenda behind biological warfare. To do this, I'm going to live my life, protect vulnerable people. I haven't visited my daughter's uncle. I used to visit him quite regularly because he's very sick and he's quite old, and I don't want to harm him. I've avoided contact with him for this reason. I don't object to things like hand washing, and things like that. I used to the hand washing thing I used to do at the hospital all the time anyway. But there's no way I'm just going to roll up my sleeve and say, "Stick it in, bro." No way. I think Tommy, have you actually looked at the research that's been done on the other side? Condolences for your friends that you lost. That's very sad. I know it happens. But please, do some look into the other side of the story. And maybe you'll realise why I've made the decision I've made. I'll accept full consequences of my decision. But I do believe I've made the right one. Okay. There's more comments on that particular community notice I put up, because had been away for about a week when I put that up. I can't remember whatever the date was. I don't even give you the date. But then, of course, I was away for a little bit longer because of what was going on with Gareth. And Crafty Niles. But anyway, let's go back to off duty because Crafty Niles says, "Ben, you are the B word. Brilliant." Oh, thanks, Crafty. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. Let's carry on up here. David Smith says on UFO Disclosure 2021, Stephen Bassett on UAPTF. David says, all UAPs are actually me. The truth is, my dad was a mad scientist and taught me everything before handing down his life's work to me. I'm so... really? Oh, the mystery solved, is it? I'm so happy so many people are impressed by what I can do. The key is using antigravitons in binding fission reaction to produce convection plasma for an ion thrust distortion stabilized for instantaneous propulsion. In simple terms, imagine an EMP going off 1,000,000 times a second. My dad was a genius. I know you're joking, David, but there is there's no doubt that some of these objects that have been seen, probably not as many as some researchers think, but a lot of them are in fact aircraft that have been made by humans on Earth using this kind of technology that you talk about here. And I think I think you're having a laugh with me with these things you say here. But there are things such as, you mentioned things such as gravity, ion thrust, plasma, things like that. These things do exist. Control of gravity exists. Free energy exists. And some of it is behind these aircraft. Off duty. R is for Richard, who is also brilliant, says the crafty nihilist. Yeah. Crafty Knights also says, why we love Ben in a nutshell, and we do not mean the book. Oh, right, this is the toothbrush. Yes, they're admiring my toothbrush. Thank you, Crafty Nihilist. And there's more of... what's this here? There's more comments about Gareth here on this community notice I have here. And people asking me for news, which of course we have now, don't we? Steve Bassett, Disclosure... David Smith. I enjoyed listening to this. I felt like you, Ben. You were biting your lip when he talked about the V word. Yes, I was. But again, that's where that is a tangent Steve decided to go off onto, which I chose not to encourage, because I think even though it's accepted how it affects the advocacy process, I wasn't going to get into a debate with him about the realities of the V word. With regards to UFOs in advertising, I think you're drawing some false conclusions there, using a bit of sharpshooter fallacy. UFOs in advertising. I'm not concerned about talking meerkats taking over the world. Advertisers will use anything to grab your attention, that's the idea. It doesn't mean there's any truth or secret test. It may hit a chord with you and some others, but that's not the point. You're referring to the bus shelter thing. I don't know. I think it seems that it's just so different to what was actually being advertised that I do wonder if there was some kind of test reaction. It's just a thought, David. It may not be true. You may be right. Like you say, I don't know exactly what the sharpshooter fallacy is, and it's not a complete conclusion. I think it may well be that this has been used to test people's reactions to the appearance of flying saucers above their heads. It's a possibility, not a conclusion. There's a difference between possibilities and conclusions, if you know what I mean. Simples. Right. Someone's talking about RFK Jr. exposing Anthony Fauci. All right. Nothing, as it seems, has put on my community notice a link to a BitChute video, which is Robert Kennedy Jr. Yes, the Truth Hunter on BitChute.
Now, how many of you are tired of seeing Dr. Fauci on TV? How many of you are tired of seeing Dr. Fauci?
Yeah, that's Fauci is unbelievable. Sacked by Trump, then immediately re-employed by the Biden pseudo administration as their chief medical officer. It says a lot, doesn't it? Stephen Bassett, Steve071. Sad news, Ben. I've heard that Paul Hellyer died recently. R.I.P. Mr. Hellyer. Yes, that's right, Steve. And I wrote, it's very sad. He was 98, so he'd really ripe old age and all that sort of thing. But he's such a cool guy, such a character. I did a little obituary for him on HPANWO Voice. I don't know if you saw that. But what annoyed me, this actually came up on the Nocturnal Frequency podcast the other night, which I was on. There's been no official obituary at all. Normally, when someone like of Hellier's status dies, there'd be the Guardian or the Times or the various newspapers in Canada certainly would do some kind of little piece about him, and they did nothing. No one even mentioned it. which is odd, isn't it? Jam Noise says on Off Duty, "Hi bro, hi soul sister, how you doing, darling? You alright? I've been following you on Odyssey now." Off Duty Steve mumbling, "Your mate Trump is blaming Biden for pulling the troops out of Afghanistan. PMS Earl." Well,
U.S. troops will be out of Afghanistan by the end of the year.
The thing is, Steve, what Trump is actually blaming Biden for is for messing the whole thing up. Trump had brokered a deal with the Taliban for the troops to be removed in May, and this would have been a controlled situation in which Trump and all the forces would have been allowed to gather all their equipment and leave the country in a civilized manner. Then, of course, along comes Biden and extends it to September the 11th because he's Biden. He just wants to put his little mark on it. And guess what? It all messes up. Biden's blaming the Orange Man, but so there's not so much as there's not a controlled withdrawal. There's a rout at the airport, and a lot of the equipment is left behind, which is now being captured by the Taliban. They'll either use it or they'll sell it. Either way, it's going to be very, very bad. Off Duty, Andy R says, "Oh, by the way, Steve mumbling, check out Styx Hexenhammer and his commentary on the whole Afghanistan thing." Off Duty, sorry, Steve. I should point out that I have a personal stake in this because I spent a lot of time during my time when I was at the hospital cleaning up the mess from that war, dealing with the dead, the injured, and the dying, and I feel very strongly about this whole thing because I've seen the destruction firsthand. It's the kind of thing that should never have happened. I was going to say it was a mistake. It was not a mistake. It was a piece of deliberately engineered destruction. If you go back 20 years, and not everyone remembers that long, to George W. Bush and 9/11, it was a plan. It was a scam. It worked, unfortunately. It's all come full circle, and the Taliban have come back in. The people behind the war don't care. They didn't fight that war to get rid of the Taliban. Anyways, sorry, Andy R. I will come on to you now. Off Duty, Andy R. Jesus Christ, that Geordie indoor sunglasses fan shouts all kinds of bonkers paranoid stuff with not a shred of evidence. He sounds deranged and he's putting your lives at risk. People will listen to his ravings and die of the C word. Well, Andy, as far as the dying of the C word goes, you know my position on the V word and things like that. I don't go along with everything he said, but I reserve the right to film what he was saying because he happened to be there. I'm not going to. A lot of people. I know this has been very controversial for people. A lot of people don't like what I've done. Well, it's done now. I've done it now. And now we come on to. There was a long break. I didn't do anything. Then I put up my video. Gareth Davis dies. I'm not going to reply to all these comments because there's just too many of them. It'll be too emotional for me. But so many people have put comments on here. I've had hundreds of them on this video and on the next one I did. I'm just going to put love hearts on them all, and just say thank you very much for every single one of them. I will reply to a couple. There was one about asking him about his V-word status. I don't think now's the time even to answer that question right now, but if you listen to the Mindset podcast, the shows I did with him, you'll know our position on that. But he says here as well, people are being systematically poisoned, people are going to be replaced by third world migrants. Yeah. Well, I think it's not that I don't think people are going to be replaced by third world migrants, but I think the third world migrants are being brought into the country to play a role in the remaking of the world. It's not their fault. Don't get angry with the third world migrants. It's not they're being used. It's hurting them as much as it's hurting anyone else. But it does need to be exposed, and it's a bad thing. You're right. Joe says, Florida Trailblazer. Yeah. Thank you so much for all these comments. I really, really do appreciate it. I'll be a Jam Noise 72, Neil Peel. So thank you all of you for that. I really do appreciate that. I'm putting love hearts on all these. I don't have time to reply to them all because there's just so many. And as I said, it would be incredibly emotional. It really would. It's still quite new stuff on me, I think. But thank you. Love heart, love heart. Oh, Flappy Hand says, sad news. I've had C word for a week now. It seems to be running rampant lately as people go from one extreme, isolation, to another, mixing in crowds. Well, no doubt when the schools go back, there'll be a fuss about that, and there'll be maybe calls for another lockdown. I'll cover that when I come to it, Flappy Hands. But the thing to do is, like, you know, drink plenty of water, rest, drink plenty of water, take vitamin C, look after yourself, keep your nutrition up as much as you can, and really, if you do have trouble breathing or anything like that, go to the doctor, call an ambulance. That's what I'll never ever be against that. I'm not one of these people who just says there's nothing here to worry about. There is something to worry about. Obviously, there is a threat here, but the problem is, as I said to someone else, the response to the threat, it's been like the response to the war on terror. You know, the war on terror is a response to a threat. In some cases, it's a real threat. There are terrorists in the world. Does that justify the war on terror? Do you see what I mean? It's worth bearing in mind that the average age of a person who dies from the C word is 83. That's above the average life expectancy of a person anyway. And that tells you that it does tend to affect the vulnerable more. So more love hearts there. Oh God, you guys are so good. You really are. I really do appreciate that. And now we have several people are talking here about contacting other people, and I have done so. People have been informed. So thank you. Love heart there. Yeah, oh, you guys are so good. Hugo Roon, I'm having a beer for him now, thank you. Gunther Haas, sorry to hear this news. I love your show, yeah. Yeah, and David says here, for the fuckers who've given a thumb down on this video, yeah, I've got no words for these people. And then people who put loads of stupid comments on this video and others on other channels. It's just like, people are asking about Gareth's V-word status. It is actually, it's all, I don't know all the medical details, and maybe now is not the time to dwell into that, to go into that, but the details of our beliefs about the V-word are on the shows. Gary Robinson says, Ben, mate, the US border is closed right now. I live right next to it. Not worth travelling. You only get in if you have kids who have US passports or have a reason to enter. Hey, Gary, yeah, they've, I think it's something like that. It's, obviously, like, this is, some people are welcoming this. They're saying, because a lot of Americans are concerned about mass immigration from Mexico. It's true. I mean, there's 60 million people from Mexico since the Nationalization Act that Kennedy passed. There's 60 million people from Mexico moved in, I think, or 40 million, 60 million, I don't know. There's under no account should we be supporting the government in any kind of authoritarianism they're imposing as a result of this particular incident. Oh, Helen Moody says here, real men and ladies do exist. We just got really allergic to all the programming BS and hide away doing our own stuff. We studied The Handmaid's Tale after I returned from Oxford for A-level English literature when I was doing the civil service further education in the 90s. Oh, right. You studied at Oxford, Helen. That's cool. I've never read the book The Handmaid's Tale. I watched the first episode. I'll probably will when I feel more like it, because it'll be kind of a tribute thing to Gareth. I'll watch at least a couple more episodes and I'll do like a little review on her HPANWO voice. I was really not impressed with the first episode at all. Yeah. I'm not saying much because I'm just putting love hearts on all the wonderful comments that people have left. You know, it's people are asking how old Gareth was. He was 53, which is young. It's very young. Neil Geddes Ward says, my partner and I both enjoyed The Handmaid's Tale. Or maybe I will. Maybe it'll get better than the first episode. I don't know. I only watched one episode. Someone's recommended Daddy Dragon on Rumble. I do watch him, actually. Yeah, I do watch him. Yeah. And we have Lime Specs here. This is an old video. Oh, I love this one. Peter Fenwick, NBA Destroyer. Yeah. Oh, this is one of my comedy videos. And I really very proud of this one. Peter Fenwick now has his own YouTube channel. I think his grandson has set it up for him, and he's done some really good videos on there. But I just wanted to have a laugh, really, at the expense of the skeptics. Did I put that one on my skeptic portal? Maybe I should just check, because if not, I'm going to add that one to my skeptic portal. Yes, I have. Good. I did. Yeah, I've just put up a skeptic portal on my main site, on my main website. But Lime Specs, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did making it, because I really enjoyed making that video. It's Lime Specs is also says Peasmore 4 Deltagate. Love these Peasmore ones. Just revisiting them. Hey, I hope you like them. Lime Specs, Loitering Without Intent. Another one I missed originally, and I call myself a fan. Thanks. These are all really old ones. Lime Specs says on organising the Thames. You look a lot younger and thinner there, Ben. Ha ha ha. That's because I was, Lime Specs. Yes. And more supportive comments for Gareth. Bless you, all of you. Talking about the archive of the Mindset podcast, Stephen asked me how I find the archive of the Mindset podcast, and I basically told him what I said in my more recent video, which is, I just put a reply here saying, all the second series is available on the Mindset Central website. As I download them as quickly as you can, because I don't know how long that website is going to stay there. That is SoundCloud, iTunes, and things like that. The YouTube you don't have to worry about so much, because YouTube tends to linger. There's a lot of YouTube channels I know of people who died quite a long time ago, and they're still there. I've got 170 episodes out of the 345 in the first series. I will share them to you. Stephen's left his email here. The thing about it, what I have to do is, also, you wouldn't happen to that Journey Inward downloads. I really enjoyed that show. I don't have any of those, but I'll tell you what, Stephen, someone else has come about on our private group I'm a member of on Facebook, who has an inbox group, who's saying that they have much more of the first series than I do. So it may be there, the Journey Inward. I think that was Venerina's show, wasn't it? That might still be there. What's more, Venerina might have copies herself. We are going to put together an archive. Now, you've given me my email. It'll be a bit tricky to send you them by file share. What I'll do is, if you could just be patient, I will have them uploaded to a proper server where you can download them. All right. Stephen says, just to let you know how I can donate and support. Oh, thanks, Stephen. Do you know what? Contact the Secret Vault, Matthew Williams. He set up a GoFundMe, basically, so we can, well, not a GoFundMe, it's just a crowdfunder, so we can get a wreath for Gareth's funeral. So all donations will be very gratefully received on that. Yeah. Gareth, Sean. All right. Sean says, I'm sorry for you. That's great. I'm glad my parents have got the V word. Sean, you know I appreciate your sentiments about Gareth dying, but you know my position on the V word. More of these. ET says, stay strong and ignore the trolls and keyboard warriors. I will in this case, yes, because, yeah, I will, because I really, I truly will, don't want to get into, I can't bear to get in these bloody arguments now. Neil says here, Ben, I'll download everything onto a zip file for people to download from Google or Dropbox. We'll let you know the link. Glad you're okay. Worried though, Neil. Oh, thanks, Neil. I'm okay. I'm doing this video now. I'm getting back in the saddle, you know. Nyapa Zerbeck says, I tried to download the podcast. A lot of them are coming back as unable to be found on the servers. Right, I think, Napa, I'm guessing you got links to Series 1. Series 2, when I last checked, is still up on SoundCloud, iTunes and Stitcher. But yeah, Series 1 now is not available on Gareth's website. I think that we'd have to make other arrangements for that. Oh, thank you very much. I'm just putting love hearts on everything. There's so many lovely comments here. Denise Moore, see how we are living. Dr. Respect, oh thanks. And Maiden Fan 71 again, oh thanks. Who's just turned 50. Oh, happy birthday, Maiden Fan. Oh yeah, there's so many here. I think maybe pausing. I might cut this bit out. I don't know. No, I won't. I'll just keep going. Off duty. Andy R says, why do you say the C word is a scam? I don't understand. The C word itself exists as a disease, but it's being used to justify basically a big brother state. It's been used to justify database controls, cashlessness, control of people's movements and activities, hyper-regulation of the economy, and things like that. That's it in a nutshell. I do explain, actually, in the video. Also in the other video, the non-off-duty one. So check that out. Oh, bless you. Oh dear, what's happened here? Jack Parker says here, gang members harassed me. I was actually homeless, living in a tent. One of them shot a gun into my tent. Oh dear, Jack, I'm sorry, man. I really am. Oh dear. I don't know how to reply to the rest of this comment. I'm sorry. You know, but I'm sorry you had that experience. Louis James, I'll do what I can for the first series, won't I? I'll do what I can. Oh. Neil Peel says, it's good to talk about it, Ben. Maybe when you feel up to it, we can arrange a reading with Philip Kinsella for you. Oh, thanks, but I will. Neil, thank you. I'd love to talk to Philip again. As for, I'm thinking of going back to the Spiritualist Church and things like that. You know, I'm watching Peter Fenwick again, because obviously my thoughts have inevitably turned to mortality, and I'm in that frame of mind now. So, Trevor Murray says, I can't wait to fly over to the pond and have a pint or two with you, Ben. Yeah, Trevor, you too. Hey, Ben, Florida. Oh, and Florida Trailblazer has done his own little tribute to it, and we're going to do a Third Rail Radio tribute next week to Gareth, with Reeves, with Joe, and with Trevor. A lot of people are saying, you know, that I should take time out, and I felt I was sort of thinking of I was thinking of maybe not doing a video today, when I thought, what the hell, I'll do a video. I think I'm up to doing a little comments reply video, like I said in my last video. Oh, Ed Kaler says, glad to hear. Okay, will you be replacing Mindset with another podcast to fill in your time? We've already done that, Ed. It's called Third Rail Radio. It actually emerged when Gareth finished the first series of Mindset. We didn't know if he was ever going to come back. As it was, he was off for 18 months, but then he returned with Mindset. But the Third Rail Radio essentially was members of the Mindset team carrying on with an independent show. As for Mindset itself, some people in the inbox group were talking about carrying it on without Gareth. I wouldn't want that, actually. I think it's Gareth's thing. And I think I'd want it to kind of I'd want it to sort of just be his thing, that's what I would want. Tommy Time Television has put on here again on my community notice about this. Scientists in 2013 refused to provide USA with lethal injection ingredients because it was for a non-beneficial cause. It seems odd they would decide 7 years later that they want to harm people. Plus, alcohol and sugar makes you infertile. I don't believe anything makes you infertile if taken twice, except cyanide. Anything you put in your body like alcohol, it comes out in a few days. They haven't got the intelligence to make a time bomb person poison or V-word that affects you years later. Tommy, I suggest you watch In Lies We Trust, the Hollywood CIA and Bioterrorism, which was created by Dr. Len Horowitz, where he describes the history of the US biological warfare program, and indeed that of other countries, which was much less ambitious, by the way, and how it was the things such as cancer viruses and things, and their connection with things like that, things which would appear so much later. It basically gives the impunity. It gives them plausible deniability. So to just watch that video, just let me know what you think. It also talks about the origins of the AIDS virus and things like that. It's very interesting. It's a long video, but worth seeing. Charles Scott says here on Gareth Dies, I listened with interest to what Gareth had to say on various conspiracy theories because he considered carefully the evidence presented to him to formulate an opinion that I respected as credible, such that I would not be swift to dismiss it. He was not easily fooled. For instance, he rightly said it was at best speculation that certain people living on Earth are shape-shifting reptilians, and Ben, you agreed with Gareth over this matter. You mentioned Gareth did not agree with the moon landing conspiracy theory, and I'll find it interesting to hear his reasons for this. It is sad because he contributed valuable and credible information to the conspiracy theorist subject, and I'll miss listening to him. Same here, Charles. And, my own interview with Gareth on HPANWO Radio, we went into the moon landing thing, and we do discuss it in detail in some of the shows. Okay, I think I'm nearly at the end now. I'm just putting love hearts on these things. Secret Vault says, those missing episodes, put a graphic on them and upload them to YouTube. Best repository there is, in my opinion. If you need help with that, let me know. Thanks, Secret Vault, Matthew. I will get in touch with you about that. Certainly, we can. I'll have to create a separate channel, I think, for that. DD says on Gareth Davis Dies, actual science is more interesting than science fiction, mate. That's true. The rejection of science, questioning the efficacy of the V word and calling the moon landings fake, buying into garbage about Roswell. Well, I don't think those things are... I think I know what you're going to say. We'll keep you mourning for a long time because your beliefs aren't reality-based. I disagree with all those things you just said, DD. But the thing is, if they're not reality-based, how come I can give reasons why? And just look at my debates with Steve Mumbling. There's videos on my channel where I go into that. They are sort of debates, although we haven't debated live yet. I hope we do. He carries on. Everyone is expressing shock in this thread. Why? He didn't die in a plane crash or of cancer. He rejected a simple remedy that would have... I'm not going to read any more of this, DD. It's not the time, okay, to go into the implications of what happened. I don't believe anything that happened to Gareth, his experience of dying or our experience of losing, is contradicted by anything he said. I don't know specifically, because I don't know all his medical history, whether if he had some kind of intervention, it might not have resulted in the ending that it did. But I don't believe, based on the research that I've seen, that the remedy that's always presented to us would necessarily have saved him. Bear in mind, people who are double J'd are getting it. They're actually catching it. And they can be very ill. I don't know specifically if any of them actually passed away, but it won't protect you completely. I'm not going to read the rest of this because really this is a discussion, I think, for another time. I'm not going to delete your comment. I'm not going to do anything like that, but I'm just saying that right now it's too close. It's too soon after he passed away. It's less than a week after he passed away. Let's talk about these sort of things afterwards. You're actually an awful lot more polite than some people I've seen. I have actually had to delete a couple of comments. Okay, and that's the end of the particular one. I'll just refresh now. See if there's any more here, and I'll go on to BitChute. Oh, good. It's going to be quite a short one. I'll read those out in a minute. I'll do BitChute first. Okay, so as always, there we go.
Public here, people like that.
Hang on. Let's go here. As always, I can only really concentrate on videos as I made since the last comments reply video. So, and unfortunately, I can't even upload the bloody videos to friggin' BitChute. The BitChute is actually really getting worse technically on the technical side. It really is. It's getting a lot worse. Woden20. Hi, Woden. I'm glad you're over here as well. No cash, then I will take my business and valuable service I do elsewhere. Good news, vid. All right. Here is a. This is sorry. Oh, this is Canadian Patrick King takes on the government in Alberta and wins. Yes, that's very good. C-word mandates revoked. That's right. Whoops. Here we go. That was very good news, Woden, wasn't it? Yeah, I saw that. That's on Truth Seekers Northeast. Oh, sorry, that's at the UFO Academy, Watford. There, that's that video. And now we have Off Duty. Again, I couldn't upload the original Truth. BitChute is just useless. I couldn't upload the original BitChute videos. Here we go. No comments. Gareth Davis dies. Again, I'll just put thank you very much for all these comments you make here. I can't put love hearts on them, but I just want to say, yeah, he did. Wayland is referring to the last video he did, which is a very, very sad thing to see. Yeah. Lawrence says, very sorry to hear about Gallus passing. The Mindset Yourself, Thomas Sheridan Niall was one of the best podcasts I've ever heard. Thank you, Lawrence. By the way, I've recorded the comments you referred to on YouTube. Truly shocking, but educational too, as the hate-filled minds of the so-called liberal RIP. Yeah. And I'm okay, finally. Last BitChute video here. No comments. Okay, that's BitChute done. I'll now go to Odyssey. Library TV's now gone, so we now just have Odyssey. I've got actually some comments that I saved here. Where are they? They're in my notes here. My nonconformist folk art. Looks a bit shite to me, says Bob Bobson. Let me just. Problem with Odyssey, it only keeps comments for 10 days. Oh, here we go. Hang on. I have to go to the. I literally have to go to the bloody. I have to go to the bloody HPANWO TV notice to put in the notice. Okay. He puts in, looks a bit shite to me. I say it's a matter of taste, and I think it is. Funny enough, those murals are now gone, so I'm glad I preserved them. I'm glad I preserved them. And on Gareth Davis dies. This is just, I know I can go straight to my Odyssey list for this. Oh, I'm on there. Hang on. Oh, hang on, where is it? This is on Odyssey. I'm on Odyssey now. Which is not loading. Don't Odyssey. Don't do a BitChute on me, guys. Just come on. Come on. No, hang on. I'll just refresh. This happened last time, didn't it? I was doing a comments reply video and Odyssey started playing up. Oh, it's hourglassing. Isn't that wonderful? BitChute has been very... Oh, here we go. Right. BitChute has been extremely annoying because I literally can't... Especially, it doesn't seem to like my longer videos.
We didn't hear anything from him. He didn't do any...
We have here... this person here. COVID... Hang on. What's it called? Something. No, I'm not going to read all this. Hang on. The virus doesn't exist. Hope you know that. All of V-word is a scientific fraud, so we don't know what condition was caused of his death. Fear alone can be a deadly weapon. And they say something about significant biological species program, and that is science. Psyche, brain, organ functions as one. I do think that the V words exist. V's are real. Clearly, he suffered from a V. I don't think there's anything that really contradicts his beliefs about the V. That is the disease and the V word intervention. There's nothing he said contradicts that. I know several people are assuming that. I don't think it's true. Okay, that's all the comments on Odyssey done. Now let us return to YouTube. So I'll go back to the channel comments. Here we go. Lime Spec says on I'm okay. Glad you're okay. This is just 28 minutes ago. I think, however, the conspiracy field needs a re-evaluation of the V-word stuff. This isn't the fight to be having now. Correct. It's not the time. Like I said to DD, it's not the time. Fight the V, not the V word. That's the disease, not the V word. I won't say anything horrible, but that's how I am. But many people who have been anti-V have paid a price for it. It isn't a coincidence. P.S. I watch all your vids, so no need to tag me. Leave in a comment if you don't mind. It floods my email. Okay, I'll delete this. Comment. Okay, thanks, Lime Specs. I don't think what you're... I think if you do your research onto the other side of the story, you'll find what you said is actually not the case. Yes, people who have been V'd and non-V'd are both dying. From what I've seen. There's several people. There's this young... Dave Cullen talks about this young lad in Waterford. He was in Waterford, Ireland. He was a footballer, 23-year-old footballer. Died after what they're calling a short illness. The media wouldn't report on it. The media are not reporting on people who have died from V-word complications. Why is that, Lime Specs? Look behind the headlines before you make a judgment on what to do and what is safe and unsafe in your life. I don't think Gareth made a mistake. I don't think anything that's happened to him contradicts any of the things he stated. But Patrick Patel says, I didn't know who Gareth was, but after you made your last email, I know him now. Hope you're keeping well. You're a great man. Thanks very much, Patrick. Much appreciated. Okay, I'll do one more refresh on here. I'll do one more refresh here.
His head, and then
let's have a look. See, I've got 4 notifications. Oh, and it's just simply the same. Oh, Legend Real has put something here as well. This didn't appear on the comments anyway. Here we go. Ben, this is on Truth Seekers Northeast 7. Ben, I really enjoy the journey. That's what it's all about. The Truth Seekers Northeast are well organised, and it's a big credit to them for their warm hospitality while you were with them, Jim. Thank you, Jim, Legend Real. Much appreciated. And that is the final comment on this comments reply video. It's great to get back into the saddle and start making videos again following the bereavement. I wasn't sure. I'm glad this is quite a short video actually, because of my uploads. Obviously, has been affected by Gareth dying. I think I wasn't sure. I'm lacking in energy. I wasn't sure whether to do a video. I was going to leave it till tomorrow, but I'm glad I did it now. I really am, and I appreciate all the comments people have made. I really, really do. It really is good of you. You guys have been great. You've been an absolute tower of strength. You've been a rock. I have plans for more videos coming up. I'll wait a few days, but there will be another video coming up. There's actually, if you listen to HPANWO radio, not TV, radio, on Friday I'm recording, I don't know if I'll probably upload it soon after I record it, a special tribute show on Third Rail Radio to Gareth Davis. So I urge you to respond to that. I'll keep you posted about the archive, I really will, about getting the archive uploaded. So thank you very much, all of you, and much appreciate you watching this 46th comment reply video. Keep watching, keep commenting. Love to you all. Hospital Porters, pride and dignity. Stop the New World Order.